Chapter 425. Do you have the Heart Sutra? Lin Feng asked. The shop lady maintained her polite smile and looked at Lin Feng. Dong Taifu sneered and said, "A country bumpkin will always be a country bumpkin. I am in a good mood today, so I will teach you. Do you think the Heart Sutra is selling buns? 1 Nemo coin for 1 basket. Only the legendary Nemo experts can create the Heart Sutra. The rising sun chamber of commerce is just earning a middleman's fee." Lin Feng nodded. That was true. It was more cost-effective to sell it than to sell it directly. After all, the Heart Sutra was like a cornucopia of treasures that could continuously produce gold. In this way, the rising sun chamber of commerce seemed to be just a chamber of commerce, but it was related to the interests of many Nemo experts. It was like a spider web. It was indeed a super force that was on par with the treasure refining sect and the 10,000 Medicine Valley. Please appraise it. Lin Feng took out the heartless spectrum and handed it over. He wasn't afraid of being bullied because the bigger the shop, the more it valued its reputation. Just by looking at the shop lady's gentle and polite manner, he knew that the rising sun chamber of commerce valued the word rules very much. The shop lady took the heartless spectrum doubtfully and flipped through it gently. Ha! The enchanting lady covered her mouth and laughed. "Godfather, is this the secret method to make buns?" Dong Taifu laughed loudly and said, "What can this country bumpkin take out? It is obvious that he is from a remote tribe and doesn't know any rules. Only the creator of the Heart Sutra can sell it. He probably took the Heart Sutra from his tribe and sold it here. He is too naive. If this could be sold, Pa!" A crisp sound rang out. Everyone's gaze gathered. The shop lady, who had been gentle and polite all along, had a serious expression. She stared at Lin Feng and asked, "May I ask, where did this Heart Sutra come from?" "It is mine," Lin Feng said indifferently. He heard Dong Taifu's words clearly just now. The shop lady had a serious expression and said, "Don't be disrespectful. What I'm asking is, who is the senior who created this cultivation method?" "My teacher." Lin Feng hesitated. He chose to compromise and gave an ambiguous answer. If he were to claim that it was his, not only would no one believe him, it would also bring about a lot of unnecessary trouble. However, the appearance of a teacher out of nowhere undoubtedly gave everyone room for imagination. Moreover, it made sense. The woman in the shop suddenly understood and revealed a respectful expression. To be able to create such a cultivation method, your master must be an extraordinary Nemo expert. Lin Feng smiled. Seeing that Lin Feng didn't intend to answer, the woman said respectfully, "So, I'm sure you'll be able to find a way out. Does your master want to consign this manual for sale?" "Look at the price," Lin Feng said. Right now, the less he said, the more space it gave people to imagine. The surroundings were already filled with whispers, and all kinds of curious and envious gazes were cast over. Dong Taifu, who had just mocked him, had an oily face that was a little embarrassed. He said the word "I" for a long time, but he couldn't continue. The enchanting woman beside him looked over and revealed a pleasantly surprised look. She kept throwing flirtatious glances at him. "Please wait a moment. This little girl can't make the decision." The woman smiled and said, "I've already informed the branch president, Lord Liu. He'll be here soon." The branch president, Liu Yu. The surrounding people immediately burst into an uproar. This was a famous figure in Changyang Mountain City. Although he was only at the embryonic first stage, he was in charge of the business operations of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. He had great power, and everyone had to give him some face. Even the city lord of Changyang Mountain City treated him like a distinguished guest. "Wow, I can see Lord Liu. He's a big shot that's hard to find. I'm so lucky today. What kind of cultivation method is that? It can make Lord Liu come here personally? Who knows? This is the first time I've seen a cultivation method on consignment. However, just the consignment price alone is definitely more than 10,000 Yamo coins. I remember that when someone sold a 10,000 Yamo coin item last time, Lord Liu didn't come. Please, how can it be the same? In other words, they are two completely different things. In my opinion, that young man is probably a peerless expert from some mountain. That goes without saying. His teacher, is the legendary Nyamo. Listening to everyone's conversation, Lin Feng was very interested. From Lord Lu to himself, he had shown all kinds of uncouth behavior before. Instead, he had become a hidden expert who didn't know the reason for worldly affairs. Pairs of eyes looked over, mixed with all kinds of envy, jealousy, and hatred. Their imaginations were very strong. This little brother, hello. Dong Taifu's face was bashful as he smiled fawningly. Hello, Lin Feng replied. Although this person changed his attitude very quickly, he was greeting him with a smiling face, so there was no need for him to speak ill of him. Seeing that Lin Feng was willing to pay attention to him, Dong Taifu's saliva flew out. He was very familiar with him. When I saw little brother, I felt that you were a dragon among men with an extraordinary aura. Just now, this little one was just jealous. Yes, jealous of little brother. That's why I misspoke. I hope little brother will be magnanimous and not take it to heart. Lin Feng smiled. This Dong Taifu was an honest person who knew when to yield and when to stand tall. His gaze fell on Dong Taifu and then glanced at the enchanting woman beside him. Her charming eyes blinked and her soft fingers gently rubbed against her lips, extremely teasing. Dong Taifu's eyes lit up as he said immediately, "This is my daughter, Red Dust. She's not ordinary. If little brother likes, no." Lin Feng could not take it anymore. Dong Taifu's level of taking advantage of others was extraordinarily high. It was no wonder that he was so rich. With beautiful women accompanying him, flattering others, and knowing how to socialize was also a kind of ability. Lin Feng rejected directly. The enchanting woman immediately pouted and looked disappointed. She shook Dong Taifu's arm reluctantly. "What are you doing? Go away." Dong Taifu scolded without showing any mercy. The enchanting woman lowered her head and did not dare to act rashly. "I'm Dong Taifu, the shopkeeper of the Dong family. I do some small business and have some connections in Changyang Mountain City." Dong Taifu took out a jade carving and handed it over with both hands. "Little brother, this should be your first time in Changyang Mountain City. If there's anything you need help with, I'll do my best to help." "All right." Lin Feng did not refuse. A powerful dragon could not suppress a snake in its old haunts. There was no harm in having another choice. Dong Taifu was delighted. "Little brother, please go ahead. It's not convenient for me to disturb you." With that said, he tactfully retreated. Lin Feng kept the jade carving. In the distance, a figure rushed over hurriedly with a hint of anxiety and surprise. He was dressed in casual clothes and had a square face. His hair was combed back, and he had the temperament of a refined scholar. As soon as he entered, he went straight to Lin Feng. "I'm late. Little brother, sorry to keep you waiting." "Senior, you're too polite." Lin Feng bowed. Lu Yu squinted his eyes and smiled. He took the heart mantra from the woman in the shop and quickly flipped through it. His eyes became brighter and brighter. His smiling expression instantly turned serious, and his eyes shone brightly. He closed the heart mantra. "Little brother, this way, please." Lin Feng nodded. Chapter 426. Vice President. Vice President. Along the way, the staff of the Rising Sun shop stood respectfully. Lu Yu kept greeting Lin Feng politely, causing the staff of the Rising Sun shop to secretly size up Lin Feng. They were very curious about the identity of this unfamiliar young man. Lin Feng responded to Lu Yu intermittently. He didn't say much and couldn't say much. "This way, Brother Lin." Lu Yu gestured for Jiang Yi to enter. Lin Feng looked over. This was the top floor of the shop. Pure milky white demonic beast fur was laid on the floor, and the walls were inlaid with emerald pearls. There were 2 rows of beautiful ladies in formal clothes in front of the shop. It was obviously the place where the shop received VIPs. After entering, Lin Feng sat down. This was a secluded room. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce placed great importance on privacy. Lu Yu sat opposite Lin Feng. He gently placed the Heartless Manual on the table and said with a smile, "I wonder if little brother knows the rules of the consignment sale of the Heart Sutra?" "Senior, please tell me," Lin Feng said. "It's like this. According to the rules, the consignment sale of the Heart Sutra must be done personally. After all," Lu Yu paused for a while and continued, It's hard to identify the identity. This is not a small sum. This can reduce unnecessary disputes. Lin Feng understood. For example, some people would sell the Heart Sutra. I believe that with the ability of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, all the Heart Sutras and martial arts on the Nemo Star, regardless of whether they are on consignment or not, should have a detailed record? Lin Feng asked. Lu Yu smiled and nodded. Then do you have this Heartless manual? Lin Feng asked again. For now, we don't have it. Lu Yu answered. However, we still need to verify the details, just in case. Lin Feng nodded and said, then it's fine. It's inconvenient for my teacher to appear. Thus, I will make the decision myself. If the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce can't make the decision, then I will have to find other. Lin Feng was just testing. He didn't know much about the other chambers of commerce besides the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. However, according to his experience on Earth, where there were people, there was competition. Naturally, there was more than one chamber of commerce on the Nemo Star. Sure enough, Brother Lin, you're exaggerating. Lu Yu smiled apologetically. I'm just trying to protect the interests of both parties. That's why I'm being cautious. After pondering for a moment, Lu Yu immediately said, how about this? Our Chamber of Commerce will take this heartless manual, but Brother Lin, please give us a month. Complete the appraisal and inspection. Sure, but what's the price? Lin Feng's eyes flashed. As for the price, Lu Yu frowned, his eyes twinkled as he quickly calculated. In terms of grade, this is a lower grade Saint Energy Heart Sutra. As for the specifics, it depends on the effect of cultivation. Only by comparing it to other lower grade Saint Energy Heart Sutras can we be sure. I want a number. Lin Feng was straightforward. Lu Yu nodded. We'll set a price range for Brother Lin to decide. Currently, it's between 100,000 and 150,000 Nemo coins. Pung. Lin Feng was shocked. This number was much more than he had expected. He saw Lin Feng's expressionless face. Lu Yu explained, I've just roughly looked at it. The effect of this heartless manual is between 0, 1 the base. As for the 9th grade Saint Energy Heart Sutra, the lowest is 0, 0.88, and the price is 80,000 Nemo coins. 0.1 base. Lin Feng thought to himself. It's based on the cultivation of the talent soul. Normal Saint energy absorption is 1. He was very clear about the effect of the Heartless manual. The absorption efficiency was about 10% when converted to Saint Chi. He had to admit that this branch president's eyes were quite experienced. Then, we'll decide the payment based on the consignment price. Lu Yu continued, a single purchase fee will be 100 times the consignment price. After that, it'll be 50-50. For every Heartless manual sold, Brother Lin will receive 50% of the net profit. The settlement will be once a year. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. A single purchase fee could be 100 times the consignment price. In other words, 10 million Nemo coins. Even though Lin Feng was mentally prepared, he was still shocked. This was undoubtedly a huge sum of money. As far as he knew, the largest family in Chanyang Mountain City, the Wang family, only had a net worth of tens of millions of Nemo coins. A bounty of 100,000 Nemo coins for him had already caused a huge stir in Chanyang Mountain City. But compared to the 10 million Nemo coins he was about to receive, a bounty of 100,000. What was that? I wonder if Brother Lin has any objections? Lu Yu looked over. In terms of price, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce will never treat any customer badly. Brother Lin, you can rest assured. The verification will take as long as a month? Lin Feng frowned slightly. For the current him, a month was a long time. After all, Lu Yu was a businessman and had a unique vision. He took out a storage ring. Here's a deposit of 100,000 Nemo coins. Brother Lin, you can take it first and exchange it for the one in your hand. Lin Feng reached out to take it and nodded. The one in his hand was a storage ring of the Demon Clan and could not be integrated into his bloodline. 100,000 Nemo coins. Lin Feng was very satisfied. This money was earned quickly and easily. As the commander of the city guards, Brother Li's monthly salary was only 100 Nemo coins. Adding on other miscellaneous things, his monthly salary was 300 Nemo coins. 100,000 Nemo coins would take him 40 years to earn. His consciousness seeped into the storage ring, and Lin Feng quickly took out a round ball with the symbol of the rising sun. It was like the rising sun. Lu Yu smiled and said, "This is the Chamber of Commerce's VIP token. With this token, Brother Lin will be able to enjoy the honorable treatment in any rising sun shop. Furthermore, you'll be able to participate in the auction organized by the Rising Sun Great Chamber of Commerce." Lin Feng nodded. It was like the third floor of the treasure refining sect was reserved for VIPs. By the way, Senior, how is the sacred power cultivation incantation priced? Lin Feng asked. No matter how much money he had, it was still money. Turning it into something useful for himself was the right way. Lu Yu answered, "There are only 3 levels of sacred power cultivation incantations: lower, middle, and upper. There are no levels. With a sacred power base of 1 as the average, the lower level is below 1, the middle level is above 1, and the upper level." Lu Yu smiled. "It will only appear in auctions. Every upper-level sacred power cultivation incantation is something that can only be found by chance. Cultivating an upper-level sacred power cultivation incantation will allow you to obtain an ethereal and powerful sacred power." Lin Feng immediately understood. An upper-level sacred power cultivation incantation was for cultivating the true dragon sacred power or the true I sacred power. It was not very useful to him. On the other hand, a middle-level sacred power cultivation incantation could increase his cultivation speed tenfold, even if it was only 1 sacred power base. However, the lowest price for a lower-level sacred power cultivation incantation is 80,000 Nemo coins, and the highest is 95 million Nemo coins. Lu Yu's words were like a bucket of cold water. The lowest price for a middle-level sacred power cultivation incantation is 10 million Nemo coins. Lin Feng smiled bitterly in his heart. He dared to say that his 10 million Nemo coins could not even afford a middle-level sacred power cultivation incantation. It was too cruel. If he wanted to use the true dragon sacred power to break the soul-locking nail, he would have to face another obstacle. Lin Feng thought to himself, but he suddenly paused. Did he forget something? Chapter 427. Sinister Wind Hall, Wind Peak. Lin Feng, who returned from a rewarding trip, had an indistinct smile on his face. This trip to the Rising Sun shop was very worthwhile. He had already exchanged his storage ring for a human storage ring. The storage ring was like a mustard seed, faintly discernible and fused with the bloodline. 1 month. Soon, I will get a huge sum of money. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. For someone like him who had just entered Planet Nemo and was penniless, 10 million Nemo dollars was definitely a huge sum of money. Although it was not enough, it was still more than enough. With this amount of money, he could quickly pass the early stage and enter the real power level of Planet Nemo. On the Nemo star, not only is there little sacred power cultivation, there's also not much sacred power usage, Lin Feng thought. He still had the 10 scrolls of flying daggers that he could sell. He believed that he could sell it for a good price. Just as he was about to ascend the mountain, Lin Feng suddenly let out a soft sigh. He saw a familiar figure pacing back and forth at the foot of the mountain. She had a head of refreshing short hair, which showed the vitality of a young girl. However, at this moment, she was anxious and uneasy. She looked around as if she was waiting for someone. Kai and I. As if she felt his gaze, Kai and I turned her head. Her anxious eyes suddenly lit up. She hurriedly ran over and almost stumbled. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. The person she was waiting for was him? Don't go back. They are waiting for you. Kai and I was like a panicked rabbit, nervously clenching her fists. They? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. It's Liang Ping. You want to find young Master Ing Luo. Kai and I was so nervous that sweat seeped out of her forehead. She bit her lips until they turned purple. So many people. Young Master Ing Luo brought many disciples, waiting for you at your residence. Don't go back, they will kill you. Young Master Ing Luo. Sure enough, they came to find him. Lin Feng was not surprised. He smiled and said, If I don't go back, where should I go? Kai and I said nervously, Go find Senior Brotherly to help you. Young Master Ing Luo. He is not someone to be trifled with. Oh, isn't there a rule in the Peak of Wind that no one is allowed to kill each other? Lin Feng was curious. But that's an official disciple. Kai and I took out the token in her hand. With tears in her eyes, she tightly pursed her cherry lips. They came looking for me just now. If it weren't for the token you gave me, She sobbed quietly. Lin Feng looked at Kai Ni's appearance and knew that she must have been frightened just now. There were no injuries on his body. As Brotherly said, seeing a card was like seeing a person. He believed that young Master Ing Luo did not have the guts to openly defy the rules of the Wicked Wind Hall. However, a probationary disciple was indeed not a true member of the Wicked Wind Hall. This is for you. Kai and I lowered her head and handed over the token with both hands. To her, this was a treasure that was like a life-saving talisman. Now, she gave it back without hesitation. Lin Feng felt warmth in his heart. Kai and I had a good heart. If he took the token, nothing would happen. But young Master Ing Luo, who had nowhere to vent his resentment, would definitely teach Kai and I a lesson. Although it wouldn't kill anyone, but take it. Lin Feng closed Kai Ni's hands and said softly, "How can this be a gift? It's only right to take it back." With a chuckle, Lin Feng walked up the stairs. Behind him, Kai Ni's face suddenly turned pale. "No, you can't go back. There should be an end to this." Lin Feng did not turn his head and waved his hand. "Don't worry. I'll be fine." Outside Lin Feng's residence, Ing Luo, who was dressed gorgeously, was practicing his saber in the midst of chaos. Swishing sounds rang out everywhere. As if there was no one around, he treated this place as his own home. Beside him, 7 official disciples dressed in Wicked Wind Hall armor cheered loudly and clapped nonstop. Young Master Ing Luo's saber technique is good. The 7th level of mastery. Young Master Ing Luo's tornado saber is too powerful. He has completely inherited the teachings of Protector Shi Xie. Of course, next month, young Master Ing Luo will be promoted to an official disciple and will live in the 1st district. His future is bright, too enviable. 7 level 7 and level 8 Chi Cyclone stage youths were complimenting him on the side. Ing Luo's face was filled with pride. The saber in his hand was like the wind, wildly swirling, like countless tornadoes sweeping past. Attacking and defending in one, it was a rare saber technique. The disciples were not wrong in their compliments. Ing Luo's saber technique was indeed not bad. Level 9 Chi Cyclone stage. Only 1 step away from Chi Cloud stage. There was a level 10 Chi Cyclone stage. Their strength was 1 level higher, but that was for those over 30 years old who basically had no hope of breaking through to level 9. In reality, there was only level 9. There was no difference between level 9 and level 10 Chi Cyclone stage, but the strength of level 10 was indeed stronger. Because level 9 was only a temporary stop, one would quickly advance to Chi Cloud stage. But level 10, if one stayed at level 9 for a long time, their strength was naturally different. Not to mention being stronger than level 9, many level 10 Chi Cyclone stage humans were stronger than level 1 to 3 Chi Cloud stage humans. Liang Ping and the others were watching from the side. Hearing that there was a show to watch, dozens of preparatory disciples gathered around. Their gazes towards Ing Luo were mixed with envy and longing. Many young girls' cheeks were slightly red, as if they were looking at a prince on a white horse. Handsome and out of the ordinary. His family background was solid, and he was about to enter the 1st district. Ing Luo was indeed a phoenix among men. Chi. The wind from the blade was impressive, causing pain when it touched the skin. The more preparatory disciples there were, the prouder Ing Luo became. His self-esteem and pride burst forth like a proud son of heaven. What is young Master Ing doing here? I heard that a new preparatory disciple offended him. It can't be. Who is so unlucky? I think he's called Lin Feng. Stupid. As a preparatory disciple, you don't know who you can offend and who you can't. You deserve to be blocked. Young Master Ing is not gentle. I heard that last time an official disciple offended him and had his arms and legs broken. This time it's a preparatory disciple. He will be even more merciless. Lying down for a few months is considered light. Even if he is beaten to death, no one will pity him. In my opinion, it's better to kowtow and apologize. The whispers did not stop. On the other side, Ing Luo was also tired from practicing the blade and stopped. Receiving the water that Liang Ping handed over, he drank in large mouthfuls and then threw it back. The light from the blade in Ing Luo's hand flashed, like a bloodthirsty demon. Where is he? Where did he go? It's been a few hours, and he's not back yet? The 7 official disciples looked at each other, not knowing how to answer. Say something, Ing Luo said unhappily. Are you mute? He must be afraid of you, young Master Ing, so he doesn't dare to come back. One of the youths said respectfully. That's right, a little preparatory disciple. He really thinks he has guts. He's probably squatting in some latrine pit and doesn't dare to come out, daring to offend our young Master Ing. He's tired of living. The 7 official disciples said one after another. Ing Luo's expression eased up a lot, and he sneered. A trash preparatory disciple is just mud on the beach. If he dares to come out, I'll beat him until even his parents can't recognize him. To go against me, Ing Luo, I spit. He really thinks he's something? Just at this time, Xiao, a black light suddenly appeared, breaking through the wind. It went straight for Ing Luo. To be continued. Chapter 428. The black ray came very quickly, very strangely, appearing like a sneak attack. It was out of everyone's expectations, especially Ing Luo, being flattered by everyone. He was very pleased with himself, his confidence greatly inflated, and did not put Lin Feng in his eyes at all. He thought that this place was his territory. How would he have thought that someone would dare to sneak attack him? But Ing Luo was, after all, a 9th-level Qi Cyclone stage expert. His strength was indeed not bad, even stronger than Lan Yu that Lin Feng had killed that day. The rhenium gold battle blade in his hand reacted instinctively, blocking the black ray. A clear clang resounded, and everyone fell silent. Xiao! Xiao! Almost instantly, the 2nd and 3rd black ray appeared. Ing Luo's expression changed. The rhenium gold battle blade in his hand did not have time to change. His body turned slightly, dodging just in time. But the appearance of the 4th, 5th, and 6th black ray instantly caused Ing Luo to panic and panic. 3rd grade, rhenium gold holy chi. There was no time to release it. Ing Luo instinctively retreated, barely dodging by a hair's breadth. But chi, chi, chi. The last 3 black rays, he was unable to dodge. Pa, pa. 2 streaks of black light landed on Ing Luo's ankles. One of them staggered, and the other 2 immediately felt pain at the sight of blood. Ing Luo jumped up and fell straight down. The 9th streak of black light whooshed past his handsome face, leaving behind a mark. Hiss! Everyone stared, sucking in a breath of cold air. Losing his balance and falling to the ground, Ing Luo had just propped himself up when the 10th black ray appeared in front of him like a ghost, piercing the top of his nose, right in the middle of his eyes. Ing Luo's eyes widened in shock, seeing the appearance of the black ray getting bigger and bigger. Pa! It stopped at that moment. Ing Luo's legs trembled slightly, cold sweat dripping from his forehead. Everyone looked over in shock. In the distance, a youth dressed in black crystal battle armor slowly walked over. Although he was alone, the strength of his aura completely overwhelmed Ing Luo and the others. That face was somewhat unfamiliar to Ing Luo and the others. But to Liang Ping and the others, it was like a demon, their faces pale, saying in fear, It's him, it's him. Preparatory disciple, Lin Feng. Everyone who entered the Wicked Wind Hall, registering as a preparatory disciple, was just a process that no one would pay attention to. Only Lin Feng had become famous on the first day. He entered the sinister Wind Hall, and everyone knew him. You guys are here again? Lin Feng looked at Liang Ping. It was as if the latter had seen a demon as he hastily fled behind Ing Luo and the others. Damn it! Ing Luo's veins popped out, his handsome face flushed red with anger. A moment of carelessness. But Lin Feng had snatched the opportunity, causing him to lose all face. Ing Luo roared. What are you waiting for? Charge! Stamping with rage, Luo did not have the slightest bit of his handsome temperament at this moment. He was extremely furious. The 7 official disciples by his side finally reacted. In a split second, they unsheathed their battle blades one by one, aiming straight for Lin Feng. Boom, boom, rumble. A great battle was about to break out. 7 powerhouses of the 7th and 8th level of the Cyclone stage. Their blade techniques were refined. They each grasped the mysteries of the Saint Chi. Among them, 3 of the 8th level powerhouses had strength comparable to Lan Yu. Against Lin Feng, who was unable to use his strength due to the soul-locking nail, they had an overwhelming advantage. Around them, pairs of eyes stared. The preparatory disciples were already stunned by the situation in front of them. It was Lin Feng's strength and aura. It was far beyond their expectations. Against 8 official disciples, including Luo, Lin Feng seemed to be on the side of the strong. The moment he appeared, he had an overwhelming strength. Right now, clang. The 9 Underworld Thunderblade was unsheathed. Ha! Lin Feng gripped the hilt of his blade tightly, his eyes shining brightly. A feeling that he had not felt for a long time surfaced in his heart. Ever since the soul of the earth was locked, he could no longer fight properly with his blade. Right now, he was like a dragon emerging from the sea. The power that had been suppressed for a long time finally erupted. In a split second, lightning roared. Dark Saint Chi surged out of his body. The seals of a 9 Underworld Thunderblade were unlocked one by one. Nether Saint Chi, Lin Feng's aura skyrocketed. Even the black crystal armor on his body shone brightly. His Saint Chi was like a wild horse galloping without restraint. The soul of the earth had fierce firepower. During the trip to the Rising Sun shop, although he had not been able to purchase the Saint Chi cultivation method, Lin Feng had formed a bridge with branch president Liu Yu. Most importantly, Liu Yu was a powerhouse of the embryonic stage. Although he was only at the embryonic stage, he was a whole level higher than the Chi Cloud stage. He was equivalent to the Demon Clan's Earth Demon Master. With his strength to shatter the soul-locking nail, it was as easy as flipping one's hand. Not to mention his identity. Even if he did not act, there were many ways to help Lin Feng break the soul-locking nail. Compared to the transaction of the Ruthless Spectrum, this was just a small matter. To Liu Yu, it was easy. He could even get closer to Lin Feng. Why not? But to Lin Feng, it was a big deal. Extreme misfortune turned to bliss. Now, his battle power was fully unleashed. The 8th strike, Heavenly Thunder, slaying True Dragon, triggering the lightning ball, 1 divided into 2, 2 divided into 4, 4 divided into 8. Lin Feng changed from defense to offense. The Overlord's battle power erupted, and he activated his strong blade will. That day, he could kill Lan Yu instantly with the battle power of his innate spirit. Now, the battle power of his strongest blade was even more unparalleled. Boom! Come and fight. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His battle blood rose in his chest. It had been a long time since he had a good battle. Now his whole body was comfortable. Boom! 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 Lightning roared. The image of the netherworld behind Lin Feng was terrifying. The 9 Underworld Thunderblade in his hand exploded with super strong battle power. Move after move of the purple Thunderblade technique began to show its power on Planet Nemo. Lin Feng did not use his titanium gray body. Just his physical fitness alone was not inferior to these official disciples. Against them, there was no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. Rhenium Gold Holy Chi. Luo gritted his teeth and exploded with his strongest power. Countless tornadoes roared. Golden light shone like golden dragons, violently colliding with the blade wind. The power of the attack was unparalleled. The 7th level upper realm blade technique was dazzling. It was enough to make the eyes of the preparatory disciples light up. They were attracted by this extremely fierce blade technique. But boom! The purplish-black lightning instantly woke everyone up. Lightning roared, and a thunder dragon roared. It directly destroyed the dragon formed by the golden light. The majestic darkness, like the palms of the netherworld, controlled the tyrannical power. It made Luo's eyes dull and his face pale. His attack was completely destroyed. His defense was shattered. Bam! The 9 underworld thunderblade roared and fell. Lin Feng was unstoppable. 8 figures fell to the ground miserably, especially Ying Luo, who was the leader. He was in a terrible state. His eyes had long lost their pride and luster. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked at Lin Feng with fear and shock. It was as if he was looking at a monster. The rhenium gold battle blade broke in two. Ying Luo's body trembled. Preparatory disciple. How could this be a preparatory disciple? At this moment, Ying Luo understood that this time he had kicked an iron plate. Do you still want to continue sparring? Lin Feng held the blade in one hand and looked at Ying Luo. Chapter 429. Complete silence. The surrounding preparatory disciples stared in shock at the scene in front of them, so shocked that they could not say a word. A preparatory disciple, clearly only at the 5th level of the Chi Cyclone stage, had completely defeated a group of 7th and 8th level official disciples, including Ying Luo, who was at the 9th level of the Chi Cyclone stage. That was the genius of the evil Wind Hall, who was about to become an inner disciple. There is a difference of 4 levels. But in front of Lin Feng, Ying Luo not only could not gain the slightest advantage, he could not even get close to him. The battle between the two had been decided in an instant. The young master Ying Luo in front of them was not as handsome as before. Not only was his armor damaged, there was a mark on his face, looking extremely pathetic. On the ground, the 7 official disciples lying on the ground looked at Lin Feng with eyes that were not filled with hatred, but shock and fear. The huge difference in strength made them unable to feel any anger. Even if they fought again, the result would not change. Too strong. Kai and I, who had rushed over after Lin Wu and Qo Feng, covered her mouth and cried out in shock. 2 dimples appeared on her cheeks. Stopping her footsteps, Kai and I looked at the scene in front of her. The original fear, worry, and nervousness instantly turned into shock. She did not even see Lin Feng make a move, and the battle had already ended. Yu. Pointing at Lin Feng, Ying Luo's face was green and white. Pairs of eyes looked over. At this moment, in Ying Luo's heart, it was like a sword piercing into his heart. This was definitely the most humiliating thing he had ever experienced in his life. In front of so many people, he was defeated by an unknown preparatory disciple. From the highest peak of the cliff, he fell to pieces. Whenever you want to spar again, you're welcome. Lin Feng walked past Ying Luo, not caring about the gazes of the crowd, and walked into his residence. In the evil Wind Hall, no matter if it was an official disciple or a preparatory disciple, the residence was a forbidden area. Without permission, no one was allowed to enter. Against Ying Luo, Lin Feng did not have any thoughts of revenge. There was no enmity or hatred between them. Just because of a residence, there was no need to make a big deal out of small matter. However, since he had come to provoke him, he naturally had to teach him a little lesson. In this world, people who were kind would be bullied. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Moreover, Ying Luo's strength was not weak. With a free sparring partner, it was not a bad thing to exercise his hands and feet. As for what happened after, it was up to him whether he wanted to advance or retreat. Seclusion. For Lin Feng, the removal of the soul-locking nail had removed the biggest obstacle in front of him. Although he did not obtain the cultivation method of saint energy, his innate soul had already reached the 9th stage. His mind expanse had exceeded 88% and was only a step away from 90%. Mind expanse might seem insignificant, but to Lin Feng, it was nothing. It was very important. This was a threshold, a staircase that had to be crossed. 7 great martial spirits. The soul of the earth had already reached the realm of 3 flowers at one's prominence and 5 Chi's unification. His martial soul had become one, and he had perfectly fused with the soul of the earth. Now, only martial soul heaven rush was left. It mainly focused on the strength of the innate soul and the purity of the energy. After activating heaven rush, the innate spirit would be the same as the spirit of the earth. As one with his martial soul, he entered a whole new realm. The top-grade holy treasure soul, severing 4-colored cube, could unlock the final password. It could unleash its strongest power. Lin Feng was most looking forward to the dragon pearl necklace. It was personally refined by Qi, a super holy treasure that required a drop of blood to recognize its master. It was beyond the earth rank, and its value was difficult to estimate. Now, it can be used as a cyclone, allowing the true dragon saint energy to absorb on its own. Once the fusion is complete and its true power is unleashed, even with the ruthless spectrum, the cultivation speed of the innate soul and the true dragon saint energy will definitely have a huge breakthrough. In terms of close combat ability, once the spirit of the earth reaches the 9th stage, the body's foundation will definitely improve again. With the help of Qi Rush, the more pure and powerful saint energy, the titanium gray body will definitely be able to unleash the 6th stage. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. The 5th stage of the titanium grade body, a silver titanium grade armor, the body strength would directly increase by 10 times. The 6th stage, how powerful would it be? Soon, I will be able to advance to level 7 of the cyclone stage. At that time, my combat strength will truly be comparable to the Qi Cloud stage, and I will barely be able to gain a foothold on planet Nemo. He did not pay attention to what was happening outside. Lin Feng began to cultivate, unaware that the sinister Wind Hall and even Chongyang Mountain City were now bustling with noise and excitement. His appearance was like a meteor landing, causing a stir in the peaceful Chongyang Mountain City. Especially his awe-inspiring deeds at the Rising Sun shop, which were even more widely spread. Branch President Liu is personally attending to him? Yes, I heard that he is an expert from the mountains, the disciple of a Nemo elite. Amazing. I have lived here for 10 years, and I have never seen Lord Liu. This is really an eye-opener. He must have struck it rich. Yes, Lord Liu personally handled it. At least 100,000 Nemo dollars. I think it is more than that. It depends on the Heart Sutra. But he has a Nemo elite as his teacher. It is as easy as eating for him to take out a Heart Sutra. We have to work ourselves to death just to earn a few dozen Nemo dollars. Comparisons are odious. There is a lot of discussion in the Drunken Mountain House. Apart from Lin Feng's deeds at the Rising Sun shop, the most talked about topic was the 100,000 Nemo dollars reward offered by the Prince's Mansion. It attracted the attention of Qi Cyclone and Qi Cloud elites. They were all searching for the murderer's whereabouts. Suddenly, the person they were looking for was not the only one. It was right in front of them. A man in a black cloak was sitting alone in a corner of the Drunken Mountain House. He was drinking the most famous drunken impermanence, cup after cup. There were no side dishes, only pots of drunken impermanence. He was not drunk even after 1,000 cups. The surrounding people looked at him with envy. Each pot of drunken impermanence cost 100 Nemo dollars, but the man in the black cloak did not care. Lin Feng, the man in the black cloak murmured, as if he was drunk. He poured another cup. Suddenly standing up, the man in the black cloak walked away calmly under everyone's gaze. As the black cloak fluttered, the armor on the man's chest could be clearly seen. There was a blood-red mark on it, which was frightening. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared like a ghost. Wind Peak. Damn it, I won't forgive him. Ing Luo's face was twisted. There was a clear mark on his cheek that had not recovered. After being heavily injured by Lin Feng, Ing Luo returned to the 3rd district and did not go out for a whole week. It was as if he felt that everyone looked at him differently than before. Embarrassment, humiliation, all kinds of emotions appeared in Ing Luo's heart, causing his hatred for Lin Feng to deepen. If he did not take revenge, where would he put his face in the future? Just you wait, Lin Feng. Ing Luo clenched his teeth, anger rising from his heart. Wait until I break through Qi Cloud stage and become the inner disciple of Protector Xixie. At that time, I will make you suffer. Very arrogant, right? I will make you unable to be arrogant again. Bastard. Ing Luo's eyes cracked. To be continued. Chapter 430. On the 7th day of seclusion. Cracked. Following the shattering of a dark crystal, Lin Feng's dark energy was completely exhausted. Lin Feng's aura was completely saturated. The soul of Earth finally broke through the limit and reached the 9th stage. Its energy level was on par with the talent soul, but it was stronger than the talent soul. It was like the difference between a chopstick and a chopstick. The soul of earth formed by the five spirits was like the frame of a house. It became thicker and more stable. Strong meridians could withstand stronger Saint Chi. Refined cell energy could obtain a more abundant source of power. It was as bright as a star. The surrounding Thunder Dragon Saint Chi, Dark Saint Chi, and Crimson Fire Saint Chi gathered outside the soul of earth. His body was abnormally strong. Lin Feng's mind had also reached the critical point of the last martial spirit. Lin Feng's mind was focused. The martial spirit Tianchong focused on the strength of the talent soul and the purity of the Saint Chi. With Lin Hui on the left and right, they formed the strongest talent soul. The quality was improved, the cells were sublimated, and the sea of consciousness changed. The true Dragon Saint Force and the true Pupil Saint Force gathered around the talent soul in the sea of consciousness. Break! Lin Feng's eyes widened. With the opening of Tianchong, his consciousness burst out. Rays of light seeped into his mind. It was like a meteor shower in the sea of consciousness. Everything flowed back. Tianchong and Lin Hui instantly shone like the South Pole and the North Pole. It caused the talent soul in the sea of consciousness to shake violently. It's here. Lin Feng felt the condensation of the Saint Chi and the purity of the talent soul. All of the power converged into the soul of innate talent, and the saint power continued to flow out. The soul of innate talent was like the brain, and Tianchong and spiritual wisdom were like the body and limbs. Endless saint power gushed in from all directions and converged into the sea of consciousness, and the three merged into one. The power exploded instantly. It exploded. The talent soul was sublimated. It's done. Lin Feng thought to himself. He could feel it clearly. Like the soul of earth, Tianchong, Lin Hui and the talent soul formed a meridian diagram. The energy flowed and formed a whole. The talent soul was like a bridge. It communicated with the true Dragon Saint Force and established a connection with the outside world. It wasn't just cultivation, but also the eruption of power. It was like a bridge becoming wider, bigger, and more durable. Originally, the true Dragon Saint power could only unleash the power of straw, but now it was like a water pipe. This was the most significant difference. The other was the overall change. Like floating duckweed, it took root in the body. Why couldn't the true Dragon Saint power form a cyclone? The reason was very simple. If the foundation of a building was not solid, how could it be built upwards? It was built by force. It would only cause the originally unstable foundation to completely collapse. The cyclone was strong enough to swallow the innate talent soul that was previously like duckweed. But now, the innate talent soul, the combination of the three bodies, the formation of the meridian diagram, had completely become a part of the body. And this was only the beginning. At the same time, his body also changed. It wasn't just the change in the innate soul or the formation of a pulse map. The seven martial spirits resonated with one another. Golden threads flowed into the meridians in his body, connecting the seven martial souls. It exuded extreme profoundness, like a starry sky diagram. The transmission of energy was like the evolution of a formation. It was extremely profound. The five martial spirits and the earth spirit, the two martial spirits and the innate talent soul were connected by their respective pulse maps. The seven martial spirits were also connected by a pulse map. It was closely related to the other two pulse maps. Humans are really mysterious. Lin Feng felt his body. He originally thought that he knew enough, but now he realized that he only knew a little. He was like a frog at the bottom of a well. The seven martial spirits contained mysterious energy that flowed between the meridians and changed the entire body. Hua, hua. Streams of energy passed through the seven martial spirits' pulse map and flowed into the other two pulse maps. In the end, it was absorbed by the innate talent soul and the earth spirit. Chi, chi. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, the innate talent soul expanded slightly, ready to move. In his dantian, the earth spirit beat like a heart. Mysterious energy gathered and changed. Lin Feng guarded his mind, not daring to be careless at all. Right now, it was a critical moment. It's coming. Lin Feng was shocked. The powerful energy rushed over wave after wave. His heart was in the air. Pa! Qilong. First, it was the innate talent soul, then the earth spirit. The mysterious energy of the martial spirit's pulse map poured in and changed its shape again, turning into a bright cyclone. It was deep and mysterious, like the existence in the deepest part of the body, the ultimate mystery of human beings. Lin Feng held his breath. The feeling was extremely wonderful. The password of his body was unlocked, and energy was constantly released. The innate talent soul and the earth spirit seemed to have entered a new level. But he felt that the cyclone was deep, like an endless black hole, but he didn't know where it led. The more he explored the mystery of his body, the more he felt that he was insignificant, not to mention the vastness of the universe. His own body was also very big. Now, it was just the tip of the iceberg. Cyclone stage. Lin Feng smiled. This is the real cyclone stage. The third generation of human beings is really not easy. Another change occurred. It was the first time for the innate talent soul, but the second time for the earth spirit. The humans on the Nemo planet are probably in the cyclone stage when they reach adulthood, right? Lin Feng thought. It made sense. After all, they were the descendants of the second generation of human beings. The second generation of human beings had 100% brain expanse when they reached adulthood. Now, their bloodline was weakened, and they had degenerated from the Qi cloud stage to the cyclone stage. But the third generation of human beings had degenerated even more. On the Nemo planet, at least 40% brain expanse was left when they reached adulthood. Many people with strong bloodlines had 70%. The third generation of human beings had already degenerated to 5%. It was like a fog that covered the brain. At this moment, finally, I've caught up to the standard of the ordinary human beings on the Nemo planet. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. He didn't feel anything else, because he knew that the road he had walked would not be in vain. The effort he had put in might not yield results now, but there would definitely be gains in the future. For example, he had walked a lot more than the Nemo planet people of the same age, and he had more experience. In terms of combat power, his physical fitness was much stronger than the Nemo planet people of the same age. Boom! His brain was once again opened. It had been 3.5 months since he entered the Nemo planet, and he had another transformation and breakthrough. Brain expanse, 90%. Without any obstacles, the improvement went smoothly. Endless saint power surged from all directions, strengthening his body, his sea of consciousness, and his innate talent soul. Even the true dragon saint power and the true pupil saint power were desperately absorbing and greedily gnawing at it. This is an opportunity one can't miss. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Like a gift from the heavens, the endless saint power gave him the opportunity to move forward. Cyclone condensation. Chapter 431. Condensing the Qi was very important. The formation of a Qi vortex could store more saint Qi and saint power, and it could be absorbed more autonomously. This was a crucial step. Generally speaking, be it saint power or saint Qi, the higher the grade, the easier it was to condense. Of course, it was possible to actively condense the Qi vortex. The principle was simple. It was to stack, refine, stack, and purify the saint power energy until the moment of qualitative change. It was like refining medicine. Finally, I can condense the Qi vortex. Lin Feng smiled in relief. In terms of grade, the true dragon saint power was definitely beyond the first grade. In addition, his talent was quite good. Even if it was not the first grade, it would definitely be the second grade. Now, it was already the fourth grade. The higher the grade, the purer and stronger the energy. The more outstanding the talent, the more saint power energy could be absorbed, and the easier it was to control. Whoosh! Almost instantly, the fourth grade true dragon saint power stacked rapidly, forming a dense energy circle. Boom! His consciousness shook violently. As the talent soul turned into a Qi vortex, The golden true dragon also turned into a golden dragon chi vortex, rapidly absorbing the true dragon's saint power around it. His mind expanse broke through, and his body's password was unlocked. Lin Feng's saint power absorption speed was extremely shocking. His consciousness shone brightly with golden light. The vortex suddenly appeared. Lin Feng smiled. Without any effort, the true dragon's saint power condensed the chi vortex. He could clearly feel the increase in energy layer by layer. The true dragon's saint power, which was already superior to the true I saint power, was now completely suppressed. The fourth grade of the chi vortex was different from the ordinary fourth grade. The true I saint power should be able to condense the chi vortex. Lin Feng's heart moved as he controlled the true I saint power. They were both saint power, but they were completely different energies. One was real and one was illusory, like the reflection of a mirror, but the essence of the energy was not much different. Chi. The energy gathered, and in an instant, the light shone brightly. His consciousness shook violently again. The true I chi vortex was formed. It was very easy. Lin Feng smiled. The three chi vortexes in his consciousness had completely increased in level. Saint power continued to gather. Conversion, accumulation, strengthening the chi vortex, gradually reaching saturation. The golden true dragon's absorption speed was abnormally fast. The influx of saint power was still boundless. Unceasing attacks. Another breakthrough. Lin Feng was overjoyed. The true dragon saint power was finally about to enter the fifth tier. The breakthroughs in his strength were like dominoes, one after another. The torrential river continued to climb. It seemed like he was extremely lucky. In reality, it was the accumulation of the past few days. It was as if a dam had been breached by a fierce flood. Sizzle. Streaks of true dragon saint power collided with each other. The energy was refined from the fourth layer to the fifth layer. The energy vortex emitted a golden light that covered the entire sea of consciousness. It even covered the light of the innate talent soul. The fifth level. Normally, humans with good aptitudes and grades can turn into chi clouds when their holy chi reaches the fifth level. The importance of cultivation. Lin Feng was very clear. There was a clear introduction in the Thunder Dragon scripture. The cultivation of holy chi was generally at the first level to obtain holy chi, at the third level to condense into a cyclone, at the fifth level to expand into a chi cloud, at the seventh level to gather the essence to form an embryonic star, and at the ninth level, the embryonic star would grow into a child star. In an instant bang, the golden dragon cyclone exploded. Like a flower blooming from a bud, the essence of energy spread out. Most of the true dragon saint power gathered at the center of the vortex. But there was also a portion that spread out gradually, condensing into a thin chi cloud that grew larger and larger. Chi cloud, a disc-shaped vortex. Lin Feng could clearly see the changes in the golden dragon in his sea of consciousness. It had completely grown larger. It was also a vortex, but it was only a point at first, a deep point. Now that this deep point had exploded, the center of the vortex still existed, but the surface area of the vortex had increased by hundreds and thousands of times. Although the saint power energy decreased as it spread out, the total amount increased by a lot. Moreover, the energy of the true dragon saint power was even more refined. Let's try the true I saint power. Lin Feng did not stop. He changed his target again. Bang! The exploding true I saint power shocked Lin Feng. The third level. It was only the third level, but it could already condense into a chi cloud. Although the chi cloud was much thinner than the true dragon saint power, it was only the beginning of the chi cloud, but it was really unbelievable. Lin Feng had only wanted to give it a try, but he did not expect to succeed. Normally, the chi cloud stage could only be formed at the fifth level. Wait, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. If the third level of true I saint power can form a disc-shaped vortex and reach the chi cloud stage, then the fifth level of true dragon saint power might reach the fetus week. Lin Feng's heart thumped. Peak of wind. There was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. Lin Feng had defeated Ing Luo and 7 official disciples that day. Dozens of eyes had seen it, so it was hard not to hear about it. Now, Lin Feng had not only become the pride of the 4th district, but also the idol of all the preparatory disciples. He had also caused an uproar in the 3rd district. The 7 official disciples that had been defeated were all from the 3rd district. Ing Luo was an elite genius that could be ranked in the top 10 in the 3rd district. To be defeated like this, it was not only Ing Luo who had lost face, but also all the disciples of the 3rd district. Some of them were already over 18 years old and were rushing to the 2nd district, while some were like Ing Luo, who was not even 18 years old and was rushing to the 1st district. Their anger was at its peak. If they were suppressed by a preparatory disciple from the 4th district, where would they put their face? It's up to you, Wang Shun. We can't let the 4th district be arrogant, destroy him. Yes, we have to win cleanly. The strong people of the 3rd district were all agitated. Those who practiced the saber loved to practice combat through combat, clashing head-on with force. In the peak of wind, sparring was a common occurrence, but it was usually sparring within the same district. Cross-district sparring was very rare and usually happened between the 1st and 2nd districts. The 3rd and 4th districts, just like the 3rd and 2nd districts, the difference was not just a little big. It was a whole level of difference. Lin Feng, Wang Shun was 20 years old, with a head of neat short hair, and had the righteous aura that most saber practitioners had, brave and fearless. Although he was destined to not be able to enter the 1st district and become a true inner disciple, Wang Shun was recognized as the strongest in the 3rd district. Although they were both in the 9th level of the Qi Cyclone stage, their battle power could be as different as heaven and earth. Saber techniques, profound meaning, battle experience, even holy treasures, temperament, etc., would all affect one's battle power. Although Ing Luo was gifted, his battle power was far inferior to Wang Shun's. To challenge Lin Feng to a spar, although it was the recommendation of the other disciples of the 3rd district, Wang Shun himself also wanted to see if this legendary preparatory disciple was really so powerful. There was no malice, just a simple spar, sharpening a saber with a saber and grinding a battle with a battle. Wang Shun was ranked 1st in the 3rd district because of this. His battle power was comparable to the 1st or even 2nd level of the Qi Cloud stage. I hope you won't disappoint me. Wang Shun's tiger eyes glowed as he entered the 4th district. Chapter 432. Wang Shun had no doubt that he would defeat Lin Feng. In his opinion, Ing Luo was just born with good qualifications. In terms of combat power, even 10 Ing Luos would not be his match, not to mention the other 7 official disciples. No matter how strong the preparatory disciples were, how strong could they be? Wang Shun was very confident in his own strength. First break through to the Qi Cloud stage and enter the 2nd zone. Then train hard for 3 years, leave the East Peace Continent, pass through the Fog Canyon, and enter the real world of Nemo. Before 30 years old, I must become a strong person in the fetus stage. Wang Shun held a saber in his hand, brave and fearless. Those who practiced the saber were often very different from those who practiced the sword. The main force of the saber was to advance courageously and be invincible. Wang Shun was like many humans who were determined to walk the martial path. If they did not succeed, they would die trying. Although they did not have innate talent, they would still try their best, including fighting. Although there were often accidental injuries during sparring, the benefits gained were also incomparable, especially saber techniques and mysteries, which were easier to comprehend in battle. My saber technique is currently at the peak of the 8th level. If I can break through to the 9th level before the end of the year, I will be able to compete with official disciples at the 4th level of the Qi Cloud stage. In the Wicked Wind Hall's year-end welcoming wind ceremony, I may be able to enter the top 16 and obtain more resources and better training conditions. Suddenly, Wang Shun looked into the distance. Behind the stream, in front of the wooden house, 2 figures were sparring. Wang Shun's eyes lit up, and the figures flashed past. Just the feeling of the saber was enough to make him excited. The 8th level, both of them are at the 8th level of saber techniques. As he approached, Wang Shen stopped. He knew the rules. During sparring, one was not allowed to get too close and affect others. His gaze fell on one of the figures. It was a familiar face. Wang Shen was shocked. Senior Marshal Brother Li Han? Although he and Li Han were not close friends, they were saber buddies and drinking buddies. Especially after sparring, they appreciated each other. Wang Shen was very clear about Li Han's strength. Although he was at the 2nd level of the Qi Cloud stage, his combat power was quite good, comparable to a 3rd level of the Qi Cloud stage. Right now, he was slightly weaker than Li Han. Who is that? Wang Shen's heart trembled slightly. It was another saber with a domineering aura. His saber technique realm seemed to be slightly inferior to Li Han's, but his saber intent was much better. At the moment, it was difficult to tell who would win in the fight with Li Han, and he even vaguely had the upper hand. Don't tell me he's Lin Feng. Wang Shen's eyes lit up. Wang Shen's guess was correct. Lin Feng, who had just broken through, happened to meet with Li Han. Both of them were warlike people, so they naturally spoke with the sabers in their hands. At first, Li Han just wanted to see Lin Feng's strength, but after the real fight, his face turned serious. How could he dare to be careless? Lin Feng's saber had layers upon layers of saber power. It vaguely contained the power of esoteric will and was supplemented by the Saint Qi of the saber power. It was quite sharp. The most frightening thing is body. This brat. The more Li Han fought, the more shocked he became. The fact that Lin Feng had broken through to level 7 of the Qi Cyclone stage had already shocked him greatly. The strength of Lin Feng's body was only slightly inferior to his. Level 7 of the Qi Cyclone stage was comparable to level 1 of the Qi Cloud stage. Li Han couldn't believe it. It was like a mini demon. But Li Han didn't know that Lin Feng still had the titanium body that he hadn't used yet. Awesome. Lin Feng was very relaxed. After the transformation, he didn't use all his strength. He was already able to compete with Brother Li. He had improved a lot. Brother Li's strength was very similar to Liu Yi, the young patriarch of the Green Sword clan, but he could already win. It was meaningless to use the titanium body because he would be overwhelmed by the absolute physical advantage. He didn't need 3 moves. One heavy blow would be enough to win. Now, I'm finally in the real Qi Cyclone stage. Lin Feng was satisfied. The soul of the earth was like a cyclone, becoming a bridge of Saint Qi. The 2nd level of the Thunder Dragon, Saint Qi, also condensed into a cyclone. The 5th level of the Dark Saint Qi was already in the fetal stage. The essence of the Dark Moon Python condensed into the Heart of Darkness. Although it was slightly different from a human's fetal star, the effect was still comparable to the Dark Cloud. No wonder my Dark Saint Qi can be cultivated so quickly. So it's because of the Dark Moon Python's talent. Lin Feng didn't know about the Heart of Darkness before, but as the True Dragon Saint power condensed the essence into a fetal star at the 5th level, the mystery was solved. The Heart of Darkness was like a mini fetal star, providing his Dark Saint Qi energy. The 5th level condensed the essence into a fetal star. If others knew, they would be shocked. It was really terrifying. Generally, warriors with excellent talent and good Saint Qi grade could condense the essence into a fetal star at the 7th level. Especially the grade of Saint Qi. The higher the grade, the more important it was. The Dark Saint Qi is inferior in grade. Lin Feng was very clear. The 2nd level Dark Saint Qi was very different from the 1st level Thunder Dragon Saint Qi and True Dragon Saint power. It was very difficult to condense the essence into a real fetal star at the 6th level, let alone the 5th level. On the other hand, the True Eye Saint power was of good grade. Fight! With 1 man and 1 sword, Lin Feng was very comfortable fighting. Now he was no longer the king of sabers and had abundant Saint Qi to use. The soul of the earth had evolved into a cyclone, and the speed and output of Saint Qi were more than 10 times faster than before. And in a battle, speed was very important. Clang! Clang! Lin Feng and Li Han separated in an instant and stood on opposite sides. They both landed on the ground, but Lin Feng was steady, while Li Han staggered. His hand holding the sword trembled slightly, and cold sweat seeped out of his forehead. It was enough to show the difference. After a series of strong exchanges, they had a general understanding of each other's strength. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Li Han sighed. Lin Feng laughed heartily and was in a good mood. Brotherly, do you still have strength? Li Han patted his chest. Of course. I'm the commander of the city guards. How can I not have some skills? Chuckling, Li Han looked at Lin Feng. Brotherly, I don't want to boast. Just now, I still have a trump card that I haven't used. Beside him, Wang Shen nodded. Li Han had a set of crazy saber. It was very powerful. The combination of saber techniques and mysteries was perfect. Wang Shen was defeated by Li Han's move that day. Oh, Lin Feng sneered. I'll say this first. I'm not a sore loser. Li Han blushed and snorted. I didn't lose. I created this saber technique myself. It's too powerful. Sometimes I can't control it when I'm in a frenzy. I'm afraid. I might hurt you. Lin Feng smiled. Again, brotherly. Li Han's eyes widened and he said seriously, I'm serious. Lin Feng nodded. The aura of the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber in his hand increased. The power of the Netherworld opened the second seal. It's okay. Come on, brotherly. I didn't use my real strength just now. What? Not only was Li Han stunned, but Wang Shen's eyes also widened. To be continued. Chapter 433. In terms of saber techniques, Lin Feng was better than the disciples of the Sinister Wind Hall. Lin Feng's saber techniques were extraordinary even in the 33 continents. The Purple Thunder Saber technique came from the Thunder Saber sect, which ranked 3rd in the 33 continents. It was far better than the best 100 Saber Valley in the Eastcom continent. Lin Feng couldn't unleash the full power of the Purple Thunder Saber technique as soon as he entered Planet Nemo. But now, as his level increased, his strength sublimated, and his holy chi strengthened greatly. He was no longer the same as before. After all, the Purple Thunder Saber technique needed holy chi to unleash its power. Lin Feng was now very powerful just by using the Thunder Dragon Holy Chi, not to mention the Nether Holy Chi, which was superior to the Thunder Dragon Holy Chi. The 9 engraved seals on the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber could be opened when the power reached a certain level. The second engraved seal was far less than half of Lin Feng's strength. Is he trying to be brave and not to be outdone? Or maybe it's true. Wang Shen stared at Lin Feng, and his expression changed slightly. He had seen the fierce battle just now. It was hard to imagine that Lin Feng, who had the upper hand, hadn't used his true strength. Was he like Li Han, who created his own saber technique and combined it with his own secret? Or did he have a stronger saber technique? No, he must be holding on. Wang Shen was shocked. How can a probationary disciple be so strong? With such strength, he should have been accepted as an official disciple long ago, and he wouldn't have come to the Sinister Wind Hall. Wang Shen was a little conflicted because he might be able to fight Lin Feng with his current strength. But if he was stronger than now, impossible. It's impossible. Wang Shen clenched his fists unconsciously. His heart raced. Li Han was the opposite of Wang Shen. After a moment of shock, Li Han's face was filled with surprise. He was eager to fight, and the saber in his hand clanged. Li Han was also a battle-hungry person. He hadn't used the mad saber technique for a long time, and he was itching to fight with all his strength. Okay, then I won't hold back. Li Han didn't hesitate. The feeling was the most direct. Although he couldn't clearly sense Lin Feng's strength, he could still clearly sense the change in his aura. The image of the netherworld behind Lin Feng looked ferocious. His domineering aura filled every part of his body and every cell, causing Li Han to feel extremely envious. The young man in front of him, he was truly born for the saber, and his bones were perfectly compatible with the characteristics of the saber. The Mad Saber was created by combining the life-demanding evil saber art with the profound meaning of light, mirror shot. Li Hongguang released his Saint Chi. His face was solemn, and there was a flash of fierceness in his eyes. He suddenly became a little crazy. Mirror of light. All right, Lin Feng replied. The power of the netherworld gathered. Brother Li's blade carried the characteristics of light, so it was extremely fast. In a split-second rumble, A white light appeared, and Lin Feng's eyes opened slightly. He raised his hand and unleashed a spring thunderstorm. It was fast, fierce, and clean. The thunder dragon roared. In terms of absolute strength, Lin Feng had the advantage. However, the saber in Li Han's hand was twisted like a twisted rope. As the saber energy spread out, beams of white saber light shot out. Swish, swish, swish. In the void, countless saber lights under the profound meaning of light pierced straight at him. The attack angle was extremely tricky. It was as if there were countless Li Hans attacking him. Lin Feng was decisive. He didn't dodge. The third move, Heavy Thunder Hell, was instantly used. Attack against attack, and countless wild lightning snakes blasted out. Boom, boom, boom. The flames exploded, and the light scattered in all directions. Wang Shen saw all of this. His heart was beating extremely fast. He had expected Li Han's strength, but Lin Feng's strength. His saber technique didn't seem to have changed, but the power had increased by another level. Bottomless. Li Han kept attacking. He attacked crazily and completely gave up on defense. As he said, sometimes it was hard to control when fighting crazily. But not sometimes. Lin Feng smiled. Brother Li was completely crazy. He attacked crazily and was very excited. The profound meaning of light was very compatible with the saber technique. The original saber technique was extremely powerful. With the support of the profound meaning, not only did the power increase, but it also allowed the saber technique to have more variations. The attacks were more tricky. Most importantly, the saber technique itself was continuous, which complemented the profound meaning. The more they fought, the more saber lights there were. It's like a mirror, constantly reflecting the light. Lin Feng understood the principle. Brotherly did not stop at just one slash. The one mirror became 2, 3, 4. The number of slashes increased exponentially, and the density of the slashes increased by leaps and bounds. Brotherly kept climbing up the stairs. Either he ran out of strength first, or he was defeated. Very good saber technique. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He was deeply inspired. Too careless. Wang Shun shook his head. He clearly knew the power of the crazy saber. When Li Han used the 12th saber move, the density of the light had reached a terrifying level. He was regretful that he lost. Lin Feng's strength was beyond his expectations. It was already the 15th saber move, and he still didn't show any signs of losing. But it was impossible for Lin Feng to win. To break the crazy saber, I must attack with attack and disrupt the rhythm in front of the crazy saber. I need to fight from the beginning to the end. After all, Wang Shun had been through hundreds of battles. He also had a lot of research on saber techniques. Although that was the case, to really break it was harder than expected. The 16th saber move, the 17th saber move, the 18th saber move. Li Han's saber moves were increasing. Wang Shun's eyes widened because Lin Feng not only didn't show any signs of losing, but he was also doing it with ease. On the contrary, Li Han was beginning to be a little exhausted. Senior brother Li Han, how many saber moves can he use at most? A question mark appeared in Wang Shun's mind. Staring at Li Han, who was a little pale, Wang Shun knew that he had reached the bottom line. 20 saber moves, at most 21 saber moves. His gaze fell on Lin Feng again. Wang Shun was a little suffocated. He was really strong. I'm not his opponent. Although there were many unwillingness, Wang Shun knew that he definitely couldn't win against Lin Feng. Li Han was probably the same. 19 saber moves. 20 saber moves. Ha! Li Han's light beam began to weaken. His complexion also looked bleak. Just as Wang Shun expected, Li Han was already an arrow at the end of its flight. The saber light beams that filled the sky had already reached their peak. At this time, Lin Feng's eyes were completely bright. He could clearly feel that Li Han's aura was already exhausted. It is time to end it. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't hold back. Learning from each other should be like learning from each other. There was no need to be coy and hide. He believed that Brother Li would rather be defeated fair and square than to end it cowardly. Clang! In Lin Feng's hand, the power of the 9 Serenity's thunder saber tore apart layer by layer. The image of the netherworld behind him suddenly expanded and became incomparably clear. A terrifying aura and pressure soared into the sky. He directly crossed the third saber. The power of the netherworld, the fourth saber. Take this. Lin Feng roared thunderously, causing Li Han and Wang Shun's hearts to tremble. Chapter 434. Raging Thunder, Tearing Heaven and Earth. Purple Thunder Saber Technique, 7 Strike. In terms of the completeness of the saber technique and the combination of holy qi, the first 7 strikes were the most perfect. The 8th and 9th strikes were self-created by Xiangyu. Although he was a genius and had a stronger saber will, he was still lacking in the combination of mysteries. The 7 strikes of the Purple Thunder Saber Technique naturally contained mysteries. However, Lin Feng could only use 50% of its power. If he wanted to use the full power of the Purple Thunder Saber Technique, he had to master the combination of mysteries. Even so, 50% of its power was not to be underestimated. Just the combination of holy qi contained a trace of mysteries. It was enough. Boom! A bolt of raging thunder struck down. A terrifying power that could tear the heavens and split the earth was hidden within this move. Thousands of lightning bolts exploded and gathered into a ray of light. This was the strongest move of the first 7 moves of the Purple Thunder Saber Technique. It displayed the explosive power of lightning to the extreme, and its appearance directly suppressed Li Han's crazy light beam. Bang! It was destroyed in one move. Li Han's eyes widened as he watched the mirrored light beam change. It attacked Lin Feng from various angles. It was like soldiers on the battlefield launching a surprise attack. But in an instant, it was as if a sky-breaking Mount Bujo had appeared. It was as if the flipping sky seal had appeared and crushed everything. It ended without any suspense. I lost, Li Han murmured. His chest tightened, and he was instantly thrown dozens of meters away. It was only the impact of the airflow and the reaction force of the saber. Lin Feng's attack did not directly target Li Han. Otherwise, Brother Li would have been seriously injured. Lin Feng knew how powerful the 7th strike of the Purple Thunder was. It was now stronger than the 8th and 9th strikes of the Purple Thunder Saber Technique. It was because of the power of the netherworld and the mysteries of holy qi. Wang Shun was already dumbfounded. He stood there in a daze. In his eyes, there was only the saber and the thunderbolts in the clear sky that went straight to his heart. It was a deep vibration. It was a tremor in his heart. In terms of saber techniques, he was above Lin Feng and Li Han. He was at the peak of the 8th level. But in terms of saber techniques, he was much weaker than the two. To him, this was an extremely shocking lesson. He benefited a lot. So strong. He's really strong. Wang Shun's mind replayed Lin Feng's slash like a movie. Although he did not comprehend it as clearly and directly as Li Han, he could still catch a glimpse of it. Wang Shun looked at Lin Feng in front of him. His fighting spirit had long been extinguished. What a joke. How could he beat Lin Feng? It was impossible. What a miserable loss. In the open space, Li Han laughed heartily, but there wasn't the slightest trace of dejection in his smile. Instead, it was incomparably carefree. Awesome, this battle was really awesome. He directly swore, fully displaying the happiness in his heart, and it was as if all his pent-up anger had vanished. Lin Feng smiled knowingly. This was an all-out exchange of pointers. No matter who won or lost, it should be like this. It could be seen that Brother Li had not fought like this for a long time. After all, it was difficult to stop once he used his ultimate move. It was fine if they were weak, but if they were of similar strength, they would either be injured or injured. If they did not have a good relationship with each other, who would be willing to spar like this? Brat, you're too awesome. Li Han looked at Lin Feng, his eyes shining. Now, the strongest in the first district is Wang Hui. When he was at level 7 of Cyclone, he was not as strong as you. Lin Feng smiled and said, Brother Li, you're exaggerating. Li Han sighed softly and looked at Lin Feng with some emotion. Offing, you're 19, right? Lin Feng nodded. What a pity. Li Han shook his head. If you received the best cultivation environment and conditions from the beginning, you would definitely be able to break through to Qi Cloud before the age of 18. Lin Feng nodded softly. He understood what brotherly meant. To reach Chi Cloud before the age of 18, there was hope to break through to become a strong person in Nemo before the age of 30. Being strong in battle was one thing, but being able to cultivate was another matter altogether. On Nemo planet, potential and aptitude were what were really valued. No matter how strong you were, it would be heaven-defying for a Chi Cloud to challenge a fetus-weak cultivator, right? But other people cultivated quickly. When your battle strength could challenge a fetus-weak cultivator, they were already child-weak cultivator. This was the suppression of levels. There's still hope. Li Han patted Lin Feng's shoulder and said earnestly, with your aptitude and talent, joining the Wicked Wind Hall is like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It's too wasteful and squandering your potential. Li Han said seriously, you are fully qualified and have the potential to enter a better sect. 100 Refining Saber Valley, Sky Saber Peak, and Wild Sand Saber School are all famous saber sects in the 33 continents. Only by entering a big sect can you have a chance to go higher and further. His voice was low. Li Han's eyes focused. Lin Feng felt warm in his heart. Brotherly was sincerely thinking for him. Although they had not known each other for long, they hit it off as if they had known each other for a long time. After all, he was a member of the Wicked Wind Hall. His words were enough to show his sincerity. I understand. Thank you, brotherly. Lin Feng smiled. Li Han patted Lin Feng's shoulder and was gratified. Suddenly, he laughed heartily. Let's go. How can we not drink after a spar? Drunken Mountain House, my treat. Amidst the laughter, the alcohol bug acted up again. Lin Feng could not help but be amused. Brotherly really could find an excuse to drink. But, even if Brotherly did not mention it, he was prepared to treat Brotherly back. As the saying goes, it is impolite not to reciprocate. Wang Shun, are you interested in drinking together? Li Han said heartily. Lin Feng looked over. He had already noticed the presence of the person in the distance. He was not weak. With a smile, Wang Shun came out and looked deeply at Lin Feng. Then at Li Han. Will I disturb you? Of course not. Li Han said heartily. Drinking is of course more lively with more people. You're right, often? Lin Feng laughed. Of course. It was not bad to get to know another fellow disciple. This Wang Shun seemed to have a good relationship with Brotherly. It seemed not difficult to get along with him. Drunken Mountain House. The three of them sat down. Waiter, as usual, Li Han said casually. It was obvious that he was a regular customer of Drunken Mountain House. Okay, the waiter responded. What wine would Lordly like to drink today? Li Han frowned slightly and did not speak. The fragrance of drunken impermanence came to the tip of his nose. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, intoxicated. But the price of 100 Nemo dollars a pot was after all a precious item. It was okay to drink a pot occasionally, but with his salary, he could not afford to drink it every time. Glancing at Wang Shun and Lin Feng, Li Han was also helpless. One of them was a pauper, and the other was a newcomer. How could they have any money? Would Lordly like to try our shop's new wine, Secluded Mountain? It's 20 Nemo dollars a pot. The waiter knew how to read people's expressions and considerately suggested. A pot was only 20 Nemo dollars. Li Han muttered, somewhat hesitant. He wanted to drink good wine and did not want to lose face. But after all, it was related to his wallet. He was ready to make a decision. Suddenly, no need, give me a pot of drunken impermanence, Lin Feng said. Chapter 435. Li Han was slightly startled. He suddenly laughed heartily and waved to the waiter. Yes, give me a bottle of drunken impermanence. Li Han was not a procrastinator. Although 100 Nemo dollars was not a small amount for him, it was not something he could not afford. It was rare for him to be so happy today. It would be a pity if there was no good wine to liven things up. Yes, Sir Li, the waiter shouted. The surrounding people looked over with envy, but they also recognized Li Han. Feeling refreshed, Li Han laughed. It seems that Offing is also a wine lover. Drunken impermanence is indeed extraordinary. It is unforgettable after tasting it once. I'm not boasting, but I have been to the nearby Red Valley in Jingxing City, but they are not as good as Changyang Mountain City, especially the good wine. Lin Feng smiled. Home was always the most beautiful place. Brotherly is right. Drunken impermanence is indeed the best wine. Wang Xin was also a wine lover. He took a deep breath and was somewhat intoxicated. Thanks to the two of you, I have not tasted drunken impermanence in a long time. Li Han laughed heartily. Your money is used on the blade. Where'd you get the money to buy wine? Wang Shun blushed. Brother Li, you are joking. What are you joking about? This is a disciple who is truly focused on martial arts. He is a role model for my generation. Li Han praised. It is rare to have such a heart at such a young age. Come, Brother Wang, let me introduce you. This is Brother Lin Feng. Don't underestimate him. He is just a preparatory disciple. I dare not. Wang Shun waved his hand. Looking over, Wang Shun said, Brother Lin Feng's blade technique is mature and experienced. He has the style of a great master. His strength is even more frightening. Brother Li, you are too kind. Lin Feng said humbly. He knew that he had been watching the exchange with Brother Li. Often, let me introduce you. Li Han said, this is Wang Shun. He is now the strongest in the 3rd district. Although he is level 9 of the Qi Cyclone stage, his blade technique has reached the peak of level 8. His strength is not inferior to mine. Lin Feng nodded. The 3rd district. They were already official disciples, gathering disciples from the 7th to the 10th level of the Cyclone stage. To be able to become the number 1 expert in District 3, he was no ordinary person. Acquaintances were the fastest at the wine table. Lin Feng and Wang Shun did not know each other before, but with Li Han acting as a lubricant, they quickly became familiar with each other. So, senior brother Wang is here to challenge me? Lin Feng sneered. Li Han laughed and said, Offing, you defeated Ying and Luo 8 people, which is equivalent to taking District 3 down a notch. How could they take this lying down? In the peak of wind, at most, it was a battle for face. District 1 and District 2 have been sparring all year round, and neither side is willing to concede to the other. Wang Xin smiled bitterly and shook his head. I was full of confidence before, but after watching your battle just now, I realized that I was just a frog at the bottom of a well. Li Han laughed loudly. Me too. When Offing first proposed a spar with me, I thought it would be nice to give him some guidance. But in the end, damn, I almost lost my underwear. Fortunately, I didn't make a solemn vow. Stop talking so arrogantly. Otherwise, you'll be embarrassed. Wang Shun had a bitter face. Senior brotherly, are you talking about me? Everyone smiled. They were all people who practiced the blade and had a heroic spirit in their bones and did not care about trifles. It was like no discord, no concord. Drunk Mountain Building was like a castle in the sky. The hall had the most people and was also the most lively. There were all kinds of gossip and news. Lin Feng, Li Han liked to sit on the first floor and chat, blending in with the commoner martial artists. In Li Han's words, since it was drinking, it was naturally lively, which was why there was such an atmosphere. There was movement. There was also silence. There were those who liked the atmosphere, and also those who liked style and class. The private rooms on the 2nd floor and the private rooms on the 3rd floor were all set up like this. Everyone had different preferences. Sitting on the private rooms on the 2nd floor, one could clearly see the entire hall on the 1st floor. It was not as quiet as the private rooms on the 3rd floor, but compared to the noise on the 1st floor, it was more comfortable and relaxed. Come, Master Dong, drink, drink. The one who spoke was a handsome man. The commander of the city guards, Situ Liang, was about the same age as Li Han. He had a sword sheath at his waist and a flattering smile on his face. At this moment, he was pouring wine for a fat man dressed in a loose brocade robe. The brocade robe man wore a gold thumb ring and had the appearance of good fortune. He was hugging an enchanting woman and giggling. Thank you for your care, Master Dong. Situ Liang thanks you. Situ Liang smiled flatteringly. The table was full of dishes, 10 dishes, and a soup, rich and luxurious. Drunk Mountain Building's signature drunken impermanence. There were even a few pots. This table was not cheap. Everyone benefits each other. No need to be polite. The brocade robe man lifted the enchanting woman's chin and smiled. Remember to help me find a few goddaughters. I Dong Tai Fu lack everything but not money. Even if there are 10 more, I can still raise them. Yes, yes, yes. Situ Liang nodded his head. Godfather, the enchanting woman said coquettishly, is one of me not enough? Dong Taifu took advantage of her with both hands and smiled until the fat on his waist moved. It's enough, it's enough. Situ Liang's face was filled with smiles, just like a pug. Although he was the commander of the city guards, Dong Taifu, who was in front of him, was an influential person in Chanyang Mountain City. All kinds of businesses were doing very well, and he had good relationships with all kinds of influential people. The armors, weapons, and other resources of the city guards were all supplied by him. Among them, there was a lot of profit. Pleasing him was like pleasing a god of wealth. Situ Liang kept on complimenting him. While pouring wine, his gaze inadvertently glanced at the hall on the first floor below, and his eyes instantly lit up. Master Dong, I have an acquaintance downstairs. I'll go and say hello. Situ Liang smiled. Dong Taifu casually acknowledged, but his hands were busy laughing with the enchanting woman in his embrace, and did not have time to pay attention to Situ Liang. Year-end welcoming wind ceremony? Lin Feng asked curiously. This is a traditional ceremony of the Sinister Wind Hall. Li Han took a sip of drunken impermanence and said leisurely, the founder of the Sinister Wind Hall, back then, was full of sinister wind holy qi and was invincible among the strong people of the same level. After establishing the Sinister Wind Hall, he regularly held welcoming wind ceremonies and wanted to welcome the sinister wind. Lin Feng nodded. This was a kind of psychological sustenance. Just like how Earth looked forward to the next year's good weather, good luck, and so on, but the form was different. Before, it was just a simple ceremony. Li Han explained. But after that, it gradually changed, including the election of the Protector Hall Master, the change, the promotion of the official disciples, the deployment, and so on. It will all be carried out in the welcoming wind ceremony. Among them, the thing that all the disciples look forward to the most is new wind battle. The new sinister wind represents the future of the Sinister Wind Hall. It is a good sign. Li Han muttered. New wind battle. Any disciple of the Sinister Wind Hall under the age of 30 can participate, one-on-one duels, until the final champion becomes the new wind disciple of the Sinister Wind Hall and will receive the best rewards, abundant resources, and the best training conditions. It can be said that becoming a new wind disciple is the dream of every disciple of the Sinister Wind Hall. New wind battle. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Chapter 436. Rewards, resources, and training conditions. Lin Feng was not a saint. In this unfamiliar Nemo star, he lacked a lot of things. Not to mention the things that were far away, such as the Sacred Power Cultivation Heart Sutra, advanced blade techniques, various mysteries, and even the Earth-grade holy treasure, pills to speed up cultivation. He lacked all of them. Xingfeng battle. Every disciple of the Sinister Wind Hall dreamed of it. Can the preparatory disciples participate in the battle? Lin Feng asked suddenly. Li Han was startled when he heard this. Even Wang Shun, who was happily drinking, stopped what he was doing. The two of them looked at each other strangely. Looking at each other, Li Han asked, it seems that there is no restriction on the preparatory disciples, right? Wang Shun replied, but I have never heard of the preparatory disciples participating. Li Han smiled bitterly. The Xinfeng battle is basically a competition between the geniuses of the first and second districts. Last year, you were the strongest in the third district, but you didn't even pass the first round. Wang Shun shook his head and said, you have to pass the first round. Only those above the fourth level of the Qi cloud stage have hope. Not to mention me, last year, more than half of the disciples in the first and second districts did not pass. Only 3 people from the third district dared to challenge. Without exception, they were all defeated. Li Han laughed. 9th level of the Qi cloud stage against the 4th level of the Qi cloud stage. Isn't this looking for trouble? Lin Feng listened. It seemed to be a form of challenge, a one-on-one competition. No wonder the preparatory disciples did not dare to challenge. In the big third district, there were thousands of official disciples, and only 3 people dared to challenge, not to mention the preparatory disciples. The gap was too big. Brother Lin, if you participate, you can probably enter the first round. Wang Shen asserted. In the second round, the top 16, maybe there is a little hope. Li Hanqing mused. then suddenly laughed heartily, but it is enough to give the guardians and hall leaders a shock. Ah Feng's battle prowess is too shocking. Even at level 7 of the Qi Cyclone stage, he is comparable to a level 4 Qi Cloud stage. One more opponent. Wang Shun smiled bitterly. There are still more than 3 months. I have to fight hard. This Xinfeng battle will be interesting. Li Han laughed. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. Yes, it will be interesting. To win the Xinfeng battle, it was impossible for him to become an Xian Feng disciple. According to Brother Li, the strongest genius in the first district, Wang Hui, was 22 years old and had already reached the 9th level of the Qi Cloud stage. He was known as the rare genius of the Wicked Wind Hall and was very likely to surpass the sect leader in the future. However, he would be able to spar with experts who use sabers and spears. Moreover, they were all on par with him or even stronger than him. It would definitely make one's blood boil. Come, cheers! Li Han laughed and raised his glass. I wish the two of you a great victory. Cheers! Lin Feng and Wang Shun laughed. When drinking with a bosom friend, 1,000 cups were not enough. The friendship between men was very simple. A cup of wine and a fight were often enough. At this very moment, oh, isn't this Commander Li? A mocking voice drifted over, causing Li Han to frown. Lin Feng turned his gaze over, only to see a handsome young man smiling as he walked over. However, his eyebrows were slightly raised and the corners of his mouth were slightly slanted. It was obvious that his smile did not come from his heart. I'm so unlucky today. I stepped on *T when I went out. Li Han mocked himself. Lin Feng's eyes widened. Brother Li was clearly mocking him. He did not have a good relationship with this handsome man. Sita Liang's face twitched, but he did not get angry. I don't think so. Commander Li is enjoying himself here. Oh, he even ordered the signboard of the Drunk Mountain House. Commander Li is really amazing. You are so generous. If you have something to say, say it. If you have nothing to say, leave. Li Han directly asked him to leave. The battle of words was very lively. Wang Shun softly whispered. The city guard commander Situ Liang, he lost to Brother Li in the battle before. The grudge between them is very deep. Right now, there's a vacancy for the position of commander. All of the city guard commanders are fighting for it. The conflict is very intense. Lin Feng suddenly understood. So that's what happened. No wonder the two of them were fighting with force the moment they met. They did not have any good expressions. But seeing Brother Li's expression, he was obviously suppressed by Sita Liang. That was true. Brother Li was too straightforward. It was hard for him to gain any advantage in this kind of power struggle. He was completely suppressed. When I saw Commander Li upstairs, I thought about how Commander Li likes drinking. Coincidentally, there are a few bottles of impermanence drunken wine upstairs that no one wants to drink. Rather than letting the workers take advantage of it, why not let Commander Li take advantage of it? Don't you think so? After all, we are comrades. Situ Liang laughed. How many bottles of impermanence drunken wine can you afford? Li Han scoffed. Lin Feng secretly exclaimed. Brother Li was too straightforward. Sita Liang was waiting for him to say that. Oh, what are you saying? How can I have the ability to drink it? My meager salary is not even enough for me to cultivate. How can I put the cart before the horse and buy wine? 100 Nimo coins for a bottle. That's an entire month's salary. Situ Liang mocked, causing Li Han's face to turn red. In terms of eloquence, Li Han was far from him. Only Commander Li is willing. Situ Liang raised his thumb. People should enjoy life when they are alive. Don't you think so too? At that moment, the surrounding people were already looking over. The fight between the two commanders was something that everyone was happy to watch. Especially since the first floor was wide and spacious. They could hear everything clearly. In an instant, everyone started to discuss and whisper, causing Li Han's face to turn green and white. Sigh, I'm just a person with a hard life. Look, I don't even have time to rest. I have an appointment with Master Dong upstairs to discuss the equipment of the city guards. I didn't even have time to eat. Master Dong was generous and ordered a few bottles of impermanence drunken wine, but no one touched them. I just can't bear to waste it. Sita Liang sighed. Huh. Everyone started to clamor. Master Dong, one of the top 10 richest merchants in the city. Not only that, Master Dong's connections are huge. Who doesn't know Master Dong in the city? Just a few bottles of impermanence drunken wine to Master Dong is like coins on the floor, not worth mentioning. Commander Situ is truly amazing to actually be able to form a relationship with Master Dong. The position of commander will definitely belong to him. Situ Liang kept on smiling, but in his smile, there was a sense of satisfaction and satisfaction. This was killing two birds with one stone. Not only was he hitting Li Han when he was down, he was also harming others for his own benefit. If the news of today were spread, 1 would spread to 10, and 10 would spread to 100. His relationship with Dong Taifu would become complicated and confusing. If he were to take advantage of the situation, who else but him would take the position of commander? At that moment, Li Han felt as if he was being fried in a wok of oil. He did not care about the position of commander, but in front of so many people, Situ Liang had made a fool of him and ridiculed him so ruthlessly. Where would he put his face in the future? But if he wanted to retaliate, he realized that he had no way to do so. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. Suddenly, "Buddy," Lin Feng's voice sounded out indifferently. In the midst of the whispers, it was exceptionally clear. Everyone could not help but look over, curiously looking at the unfamiliar young man, including Li Han and Situ Liang. Lin Feng picked up impermanence drunken wine and poured over. "There's too little wine, not enough to drink. 3 more bottles, oh no, 10 bottles." Chapter 437. The scene was a bit quiet. 6d10 bottles of drunken impermanence. That was a full 1,000 Nemo coins. It was definitely a huge expense in Changyang Mountain City. Everyone's gaze fell onto Lin Feng, but no one recognized him, nor did they know who he was. Even the waiter was stunned and did not react for a while. "All right." The waiter's face was red. He shouted and immediately ran over happily. Li Han looked at Lin Feng in shock. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. He felt that Lin Feng had helped him out, but his heart was bleeding. If 100 Nemo coins was within his acceptable range, then 1,000 Nemo coins was enough to cut off a piece of his flesh. This brat, can't he just order 3 bottles for show? Li Han's mouth twitched. He was feeling heartache, but when he looked at Lin Feng, he was extremely grateful. With his strength, he could earn more money, but he could not lose his dignity and face. Isn't it just 1,000 Nemo coins? Li Han thought. On the other side, Situ Liang had been staring at Lin Feng. As the city guard commander, he had seen countless people. Even if he was not familiar with the rich and powerful in Changyang Mountain City, he could still recognize them. But the young man in front of him was very unfamiliar. Just by looking at his clothes and the way he ate with Li Han and Wang Shun, he did not seem like a big shot. He looked at Li Han. Seeing Li Han's expression, Situ Liang's heart was as clear as a mirror as he smiled. "Commander Li is going to pay a huge price this time," Situ Liang said with a double meaning. Li Han's face sank. "I say, Commander Li, you have to think twice before puffing yourself up at your own cost. 1,000 Nemo coins is not a small amount." Situ Liang's mouth twitched. "If I'm not wrong, this little brother should be a disciple of the Wicked Wind Hall." As he spoke, his gaze fell onto Lin Feng. Wicked Wind Hall's preparatory disciple, Lin Feng. Lin Feng did not hide it and said frankly. "Hua!" There was an uproar. Whispers rose again. Everyone thought that Lin Feng had a big identity. They did not expect him to be a preparatory disciple. Li Han couldn't voice out his bitterness. He looked at Lin Feng helplessly, as if complaining that Lin Feng was too honest and didn't gain any face. Instead, it became a joke. Good, good. Brother Lin Feng will definitely become a great person in the future." Situ Liang smiled and gave a thumbs up. His tone was filled with ridicule. "Is that so?" Lin Feng replied faintly. "Of course." Situ Liang raised his eyebrows. "Brother Lin Feng is so good at bragging. Even if you don't have enough strength in the future, you can still brag to the heavens. If you don't become a great person, then who can become a great person?" He laughed loudly. The surrounding people also laughed, and the scene became awkward again. "Lordly, your wine." The waiter was very fast, as if he was afraid that Li Han would go back on his word. The wine was served at lightning speed. causing Li Han's face to twitch. It was hard for him to get off the stage. Suddenly, sir, you have a glib tongue, Lin Feng said with a smile. You've trained your mouth well. It's really a waste for you to be the commander of the city guards. Situ Liang laughed coldly without saying anything. But Lin Feng's tone changed and said, from the start to the end, I only ordered 10 bottles of drunken impermanence. How was that bragging? Does Commander Situ Liang have a delusional disorder? Are you telling me that you can't even buy wine after entering a restaurant? Everyone nodded. Indeed, Lin Feng had only bought wine from the start. Situ Liang was the only one saying all these things. TSK, Situ Liang scoffed. Just based on you, a preparatory disciple, can you afford to buy drunken impermanence? Lin Feng pointed at the 10 bottles of drunken impermanence on the table. Aren't they here? Situ Liang was speechless. Everyone's eyes were on him, and it was him who was unable to get off the stage. If you have the ability, just pay up. Don't pretend to be a god. Look at you, you're so poor. You're wearing a broken armor. A mere preparatory disciple shouldn't act like one. People like you. I've seen too many of them. In the end, aren't we still relying on Commander Li to pay? Clothes make the man, just like horses make the saddle. Lin Feng's clothes were even worse than Wang Shan's. Cold sweat started to form on Li Han's forehead. The situation in front of him was even worse than before. He could not jump out, but he could not jump out either. Lin Feng had helped him after all. If he were to embarrass Lin Feng, how could he accept it? Since he had already lost all his face today, he did not care about that little bit. Just as he was about to stand up suddenly, Commander Situ, aren't you looking down on me? Lin Feng smiled faintly. So what if I am? Situ Liang snorted. Lin Feng laughed. Everyone around also started to laugh. Situ Liang's face turned green. He said in disdain, you're just using your mouth. Since Commander Situ is in a good mood today, and I'm in a good mood as well, why don't we treat everyone here? Lin Feng looked at Situ Liang, who had a pale face. I won't take advantage of Commander Situ. You treat 1 bottle, I'll buy 1 get 1 free. Treat 2 bottles, how about it? Huh. With that said, the entire Drunk Mountain restaurant was shocked. What a scene. Everyone around was overjoyed. Li Han and Wang Shun were already stunned, not knowing how to end the situation. Situ Liang felt like he had been stripped naked in front of everyone. He was in a difficult situation. He ordered 1 bottle of drunken impermanence. Lin Feng ordered 2. It was clearly letting him have it. However, it was not that easy. If he didn't accept this suggestion, all the pairs of expectant eyes around him would tear him apart just by looking at them. So vicious. Situ Liang had a bad feeling in his heart. The Lin Feng in front of him did not look old, but his thoughts were meticulous, forcing him into a dead end step by step. No matter how unwilling he was, he had to accept the bet. Situ Liang's face was green, but he was a vicious person. He immediately took out 500 Nemo coins and placed it on the table. 5 bottles. Situ Liang gritted his teeth. It's more than the 10 bottles on your table. Everyone cheered. However, Situ Liang's heart was bleeding. 500 Nemo coins was close to half a year of his salary. Lin Feng smiled. Commander Situ Liang is mistaken. The 10 bottles on the table are for us to drink. As he said that, 2,000 Nemo coins appeared in his hand and landed in front of Situ Liang's coins. We'll do as we said before. You take 1, and I take 2. Commander Situ Liang can continue. 5,000 Nemo coins. Lin Feng's generosity caused everyone around to suck in a breath and cheer. Li Han and Wang Shun were like wooden people, staring blankly at Lin Feng. Situ Liang's face was green like a tortoise's. He had been tricked again. With such a huge bet at the start, there was no way the price would be lower than 500 Nemo coins. Furious, Situ Liang threw caution to the wind and took out another 1,000 Nemo coins. Like an enraged demonic beast, he roared, "Come! 10 bottles! 20 bottles!" Lin Feng casually took out 5,000 Nemo coins. Another 10 bottles. Situ Liang's hands were shaking. Oh, another 20 bottles. Lin Feng looked at Situ Liang. 10. Another 10 bottles. Situ Liang's face was pale. Another 20 bottles. Lin Feng's movements were very nimble. At this moment, Situ Liang's eyes were lifeless. as if he had aged a few decades. A total of 3,500 Nemo coins were taken out. That was 3 years of his salary. Chapter 438. In a private room on the second floor. What's going on? Why is it so noisy downstairs? Dong Taifu sipped his wine. The enchanting woman in his arms was the goddaughter, Hong Chun, whom Lin Feng had met the other day. She smiled coquettishly and looked down curiously. Then she said in a sweet voice, "It's Situ." And, "Oh, Godfather, come and take a look. Isn't that the bumpkin we saw in the Rising Sun shop?" Country bumpkin? Dong Taifu was startled. He looked down, and his eyes lit up. What country bumpkin? He is the disciple of a hidden expert, just that he has just entered the world, so his experience is shallow. Dong Taifu scolded. His expression turned serious. Even President Liu has to be polite to him. Don't speak carelessly and offend him. Hong Chun lowered her head and whimpered, like a child who did something wrong. Let's go down and take a look. Although Dong Taifu was a bit fat, his movements were not slow. In a lobby on the first floor, everyone was staring at him with wide eyes. At this moment, there were 2 thick stacks of Nemo coins on the table. 2 figures were standing opposite each other. One of them was the commander of the city guards, Situ Liang, who could be considered a top figure in Chongyang Mountain City. The other was an unknown preparatory disciple of the Wicked Wind Hall. Of course, the two had different expressions. Situ Liang's face was deathly pale. He was exerting strength with his hands and legs. His lips were trembling, and he was almost paralyzed on the chair. On the contrary, Lin Feng was still indifferent as he looked at Situ Liang quietly. Nothing else? Lin Feng smiled and asked. Situ Liang was a bit stunned, looking at the stacks of Nemo coins on the table. It was a total of 4,400 Nemo coins. He had bet everything he had. At the moment, he really wanted to shut his ears. His blood rushed to his head, and he made a huge mistake. For the sake of face, he dug his own grave step by step and stepped into Lin Feng's trap. Right now, he was beyond cure. There was no cure. No more, no more. Situ Liang muttered. Although his voice was soft, the people around could hear it clearly. In an instant, the warriors who did not want to be left out whistled, letting out a thunderous sound, but made Situ Liang's body tremble even more. You have 44 bottles, I have 88, just nice. Lin Feng smiled. He stretched out his right hand, and another handful of Nemo coins fell. Every one of them was worth 100. I'll round it up. It's exactly 10,000 Nemo dollars. Situ Liang's eyes widened, and his breathing quickened. Looking at Lin Feng, his heart was filled with endless regret. He was an idiot. She was obviously trying to goad him into action, yet he still foolishly went up to her. He threw away all his belongings. Clap, clap. Lin Feng clapped his hands. Waiter, you can serve the wine now. There are 144 pots in total. Lin Feng swept his gaze over the crowd. He smiled and said, Everyone is in for a treat today. Everyone has a share. 144 jugs of drunken impermanence. Why are you looking at me? Aren't you going to thank Commander Situ? In a split second, many thanks, Commander Situ. They laughed in unison. There was both happiness and excitement, as well as some undetectable shyness. The applause was thunderous. Puff! Situ Liang spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. What's wrong? Lin Feng looked at Li Han and Wang Shan with a smile. The two of them looked even better than the crowd just now. They looked at him like they did not recognize him. Lin Feng waved his hand in front of the two of them. Are you okay? Fuck. Li Han held it in for a while, before he cursed with a red face. Offing, where did you get so much money? 10,000 Nemo coins isn't much. Lin Feng chuckled. This isn't much? Wang Shun smiled bitterly. Lin Feng smiled, but did not explain. 10,000 Nemo coins was indeed not much for the current him. Soon, he would have 10 million Nemo coins. Compared to that, 10,000 Nemo coins was just a drop in the ocean. Bullshit, Li Han muttered. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. It seemed like Situ Liang had said the same thing just now. You brat, you have so much money, and you didn't even say anything. You even want a pauper like me to treat you. Brotherly, you didn't ask me. Lin Feng shrugged his shoulders. That's true. Li Han sighed. While they were talking, There was a commotion around them. Lin Feng and the other two immediately looked over. The crowd parted, and a man and a woman walked out. The man was dressed in a loose brocade robe. He was slightly chubby and had a gold thumb ring on his hand. He looked very rich. The woman was young and beautiful. She wore a red dress. She was enchanting and charming. Master Dong, Master Dong. The surrounding people greeted him respectfully. Li Han and Wang Shun immediately stood up, but did not dare to be disrespectful. This Master Dong in front of them was an influential person in Changyang Mountain City. He was smooth and slick and even had a good relationship with the sect master. His gaze suddenly landed on the fainted Situ Liang. Li Han knew that something was wrong. He remembered what Situ Liang said just now. Today, he came to accompany Master Dong. So, he was here to settle the score? Master Dong, please don't misunderstand. It's not like that, Li Han quickly explained. But Dong Taifu didn't even look at him. He walked past Li Han and stopped in front of Lin Feng. He laughed and said, I trust you have been well since we last met, little brother. Beside him, the charming woman, Hong Chun, blinked her eyes and smiled seductively. Yes, we meet again. Lin Feng looked at Dong Taifu. Silence. Everyone's eyes widened. They were even more shocked than before. Did they hear wrongly? The famous master Dong Taifu was acquainted with this preparatory disciple Lin Feng. Originally, they were still wondering where Lin Feng came from. How could he have so much money? But now, they did not even need to think about it. Who was Dong Taifu? He was one of the top 10 richest people in the city. The people he knew were either rich or noble. A mere 10,000 Nemo coins was nothing to people of their level. Little brother, why didn't you send someone to inform me that you came to Drunk Mountain Manor? Dong Taifu smiled. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Wang Shun beside him whispered, Drunk Mountain Manor, Master Dong also has a share. Lin Feng suddenly understood. You're too polite, Master Dong. I'm just gathering with a few friends. I don't intend to disturb you, Lin Feng replied. How can that be? Little brother, aren't you flattering me? Since you've come to Drunk Mountain Manor, let me play the role of host. I wonder if you'd like to do me the honor? Dong Taifu invited warmly. The enchanting woman beside him also smiled coquettishly. Lin Feng was a little embarrassed. But with such a warm invitation, it didn't seem good to refuse in front of so many people. He looked at Li Han and Wang Shun. The light in their eyes was enough to explain everything, especially Li Han, whose face was flushed red. He was extremely eager. Lin Feng smiled, but he knew that he couldn't refuse for Brother Li's sake. Okay then. Good, that's great. Dong Taifu laughed heartily. Clap, clap. Dong Taifu clapped his hands and shouted, Men, prepare a private room on the top floor. Today, I want to drink with little brother. This way, please. Dong Taifu made an inviting gesture with a smile. Lin Feng nodded. He walked upstairs with the excited Li Han and Wang Shun. The onlookers who were left behind were all envious and jealous. They were even more curious. This rich and generous Lin Feng who even knew Master Dong. Who on earth was he? Chapter 439. Come, Brother Lin Feng. Cheers. Try one of the 3 great wines of Eastcom Continent, Hibiscus Zigzag. Dong Taifu chuckled as he filled Lin Feng's cup with wine. The fat on his cheeks trembled as he was extremely attentive. Li Han and Wang Shun stared at each other, but they were a little restrained in such an occasion. Heroes come from the young. I'll also toast to young Master Lin. The enchanting woman was graceful and flirtatious. Lin Feng smiled and raised his wine cup without any hesitation. Since he was here, he might as well take it as he could. A cup of hibiscus zigzag entered his stomach, and the fragrance of the wine lingered for a long time. The pure energy was absorbed by the soul of the earth like a fragrant hibiscus. All kinds of flavors intertwined, and the fragrance lingered on the tip of the tongue. It was much more precious than Drunken Mountain Manor's signature wine, Drunken Impermanence. One of the 3 great wines of Eastcom Continent. Lin Feng smiled. Indeed, it lived up to its reputation. Brother Lin, come, let's continue. Dong Taifu was very attentive. He glanced at Li Han and Wang Shun and smiled. The 2 of you don't have to be reserved. Since you're Brother Lin's friends, you're my friends too. Drink to your heart's content today. Li Han and Wang Shun's eyes lit up. Both of them were wine lovers. How could they drink something as good as hibiscus zigzag? A pot cost at least tens of thousands of Nemo coins. In comparison, drunken impermanence was as inconspicuous as plain water. After carefully filling their cups, Li Han and Wang Shun tasted it carefully. They closed their eyes and revealed intoxicated expressions. Seeing their expressions, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Everyone had their own preferences. Commander Li, Dong Taifu said, I heard that you and Commander Sidu are competing for the position of Grand Commander. Master Dong, you're well informed. Li Han shook his head with a bitter smile. However, I know myself. There are dozens of city guard commanders. It's not my turn to compete for the position of Grand Commander. In terms of talent and strength. In terms of social skills, I'm outstanding. Dong Taifu chuckled. No, you have good connections. Li Han was taken aback. Master Dong, you must be joking. The people I know aren't even 30% as many as Commander Situ. You're honest. Dong Taifu was amused. Suddenly, he shot a glance at Lin Feng. But it's useless to know too many friends who are worthless. As for those who are valuable and have status, it's enough to know one. Dong Taifu poured another cup of wine. Come, cheers to the future Commander Li. Li Han was stunned. Wang Shun's eyes lit up, and he raised his cup. Lin Feng looked at Brother Li. He knew that Dong Taifu was obviously trying to sell him a favor. Dong Taifu was quite cunning. It was impossible for him to not accept this kind of favor. He smiled and said, Congratulations, Brother Li. Congratulate me? Li Han still hadn't reacted. Suddenly, Li Han stood up abruptly. His face was full of shock and disbelief. He hurriedly picked up the cup and said, Thank you, Master Dong. Many thanks, Master Dong. Turning around, Li Han looked at Lin Feng gratefully. Thank you. Good brother. Dong Taifu looked at Wang Shun with a smile. Brother Wang, you're also a talent. I wonder which sect you belong to? Wang Shun cupped his hands and said, I'm Wang Shun, a disciple of the Eastern Heretic Guardian. Dong Taifu looked Wang Shun up and down. I'm quite familiar with the Eastern Heretic Guardian and have some friendship. When we meet in the future, I'll put in a good word for you and promote you to an inner disciple. Okay? Wang Shun's face was full of excitement. He nodded repeatedly. Thank you, Master Dong. Lin Feng watched from his side. Dong Taifu did have some skills. He was quite good at winning people's hearts. Right now, it was impossible for him not to owe him a favor, even if he didn't want to. Come, don't stop. Keep drinking. We'll all be friends in the future. Haha, Dong Taifu warmly entertained them. The fragrance of the wine was rich, and the table was full of dishes. It was very rich. In addition, they drank too much wine. Everyone was relaxed and happy. After 3 rounds of drinking, Lin Feng left with the half-drunk Wang Shun and the drunk Li Han. Unlike last time, Li Han was drunk because he was happy. He became a great commander in one go. Not only did his status increase, his salary was also higher. Moreover, Li Han knew that his future would be smooth sailing after climbing up Dong Taifu's big tree. And this was all thanks to one person, Lin Feng, including Wang Shun. The two of them knew that Dong Taifu naturally did not want to be friends with them. They were all basking in Lin Feng's light. Thank you often, Li Han murmured. When Lin Feng heard it, he smiled. Brother Li was a sentimental person. He treated him like a nephew. Now, he was very happy to be able to help him. As for Dong Taifu, he's not an ordinary businessman. Lin Feng thought to himself. Master Dong, Situ Liang ran over. What's the matter? Dong Taifu hugged Hong Chun and said coldly. Situ Liang's heart skipped a beat. He remembered the rumor he heard just now and said, Master Dong, do you know the preparatory disciple of the Evil Wind Hall, Lin Feng? Dong Taifu glanced at him. Is it related to you? Situ Liang shook his head and smiled flatteringly. No, Master Dong misunderstood. Actually, don't talk nonsense here. Go back. Dong Taifu waved his hand and asked him to leave. You don't need to fight for the position of Great Commander. You don't need to be in charge of the purchasing of the city guards. I will leave it all to Li Han. After saying that, Dong Taifu hugged Hong Chun and left. Situ Liang was left alone with his eyes wide open and his face pale. No, impossible. In an instant, he fell from heaven to hell. In the private room upstairs, Dong Taifu and Hong Chun did not sit together. The enchanting and charming Hong Chun was now very dignified, and her expression was serious. Dong Taifu also withdrew his smile and slowly said, "It should be him, but he doesn't have any improper thoughts about me." Hong Chun smiled charmingly. Her full breasts moved slightly, showing her gentle charm. Could it be that my charm has dropped so much that I can't even compare to a little girl? So, I'm afraid there's more to this matter. Dong Taifu completely ignored Hong Chun. The East Pole Palace has always been honest when doing things. It's not easy to get a good reputation. Since the imperial residents paid 1,000,000 Nemo coins for us to capture the culprit who killed his daughter, we can't just grab a scapegoat. Hong Chun nodded, but Lin Feng can't be completely eliminated as a suspect. Dong Taifu said, even if he really killed her, right now we can't just casually touch him. Hong Chun nodded. If he's the disciple of a Nemo elite, then it'll be troublesome. A mere 1,000,000 Nemo coins is not worth the East Pole Palace taking such a big risk. Dong Taifu said, I've checked. He sold Lu Yu's Sacred Power Cultivation Manual, and it's something that has never appeared on Planet Nemo before. Hong Chin's beautiful eyes widened. Looks like there might really be a powerful person behind him. Dong Taifu nodded, and it's not an ordinary Nemo elite. Chapter 440. Preparatory Disciple, Lin Feng. Is that for real? He can be brothers with Master Dong? Please. News of this has already spread. Not only Lin Feng, even senior brother Li Han and junior brother Wang Shan were there that day. They were invited to the top floor together. Top floor? Wow. Don't be envious. He gave out 10,000 Nemo coins right away. That day, Situ Liang was so angry that he was foaming at the mouth and fainted. The scene was as lively as it could be. 144 bottles of drunken impermanence. Everyone there had a share. I'm so angry. I actually missed such a good thing. The legend of Lin Feng spread throughout Wind Peak. Changyang Mountain City was not small, but it was not big either. Lin Feng's matter could not be hidden, and there was no need to hide it. The preparatory disciples of the 4th District were all happy, as if they were the ones who became famous. The most depressed ones were the official disciples of the 3rd District, because Lin Feng's fame was completely stepping on them. Wang Shan lost. There was no need for others to witness. Wang Shan admitted it himself. His strength was far from Lin Feng's. In an instant, it caused quite a stir. But to the disciples of the 1st and 2nd Districts, it did not cause too much of a stir. Since they were all in the Qi cloud stage, they had a sense of superiority and disdain towards those in the Qi spiral stage, especially Lin Feng, who was nearing 20 years old. So what if he was strong? His future was limited. To them, the most important thing right now was only one thing. Year-end welcoming wind ceremony, Xian Feng battle. Lin Feng also became quiet. Wang Shan admitted it himself. The entire 3rd District was dead silent. Even the strongest person of the 3rd District admitted that he could not beat him. What else could they do? Not to mention that Lin Feng was rumored to be close with Dong Taifu. No one dared to provoke Lin Feng and have any ideas about him. What a joke! The city guard commander Situ Liang only offended Li Han. Because of that, he lost the position of Grand Commander. If they really offended Lin Feng, how bad would it be? On the other hand, the preparatory disciples of the 4th residential area were very proud. Many of them often came to Lin Feng's residence and peeked at him from time to time. They wanted to see the influential figure and idol of the 4th residential area. After all, many preparatory disciples were only 16 or 17 years old. However, they were all disappointed. After Lin Feng returned, he quickly went into seclusion again. Titanium gray body, Tier 6. Lin Feng's eyes scanned the surroundings. Blood was everywhere. Surging energy gushed out from all directions of his body, and a new layer of silver armor was revealed. The titanium-grade elements were like high-tech crystals, forming dense lines and bursts of bright light. The 6th level was an upgrade from the 5th level. From outside to inside. Lin Feng used all of his strength. Blue veins popped out and formed on the surface of his body. The silver patterns on his armor slowly shrank. It seeped into his skin, and the crystalline lines entered his skin, causing his entire body to tremble violently. Behind him, the golden dragon roared. 5th level, True Dragon Saint Power. Firmly control every titanium grade element in the body to form a stable titanium element diagram. Bit by bit, blood kept oozing out, and Lin Feng suddenly groaned. In an instant, the titanium element armor on his body dissipated. Lin Feng's face was slightly pale, and his chest rose and fell rapidly. Balance. The key is in the aspect of balance. Just like the titanium element diagram. The titanium element exposed on the surface of the body is several times more than inside the body. Complete integration. The body will reveal silver patterns and the increase from 10 times to 20 times. Failure. Failure again. After several failures, Lin Feng sat cross-legged and switched to cultivation. Now that he was not on Earth, there was no high-tech titanium element space, so it was impossible to continuously cultivate the titanium gray body. Moreover, his body could not bear it. After all, every failure would cause damage to his body. Continue. Pieces of holy crystals appeared in front of Lin Feng. They were not dark crystals from the dark demon world. Including the dark, or all the dark crystals had been used up. The dark holy chi had also increased from the 5th level to the 6th level, but it was difficult to increase it further. Moreover, the grade of the dark holy chi was a bit low. It was only 2nd grade. Zap! Zap! The holy crystal gave off a thunderous light. Lin Feng touched the holy crystal with both hands, his eyes shining. Rich thunder energy poured out of the holy crystal and went straight into his body, being absorbed by the Thunder Dragon Cyclone. Some of it also returned from the Thunder Dragon Cyclone to the soul of the earth. Super Grade 1, Thunder Dragon Holy Chi. It won't be long before I can reach the 3rd level, Lin Feng thought. It was easy to reach the 3rd level, but the 4th level was 10 times more time-consuming than the 3rd level. The higher the level, the harder it was to cultivate. 100,000 Nemo coins is not enough. Lin Feng was also helpless. All the deposit turned into the thunder element holy crystal in front of him for cultivation. I should be able to upgrade the Thunder Dragon Holy Chi to the 4th level before the Xinfeng battle. I wonder if I can turn it into a Thunder Dragon Cloud. In order to prepare for the Xinfeng battle, the disciples of the Sinister Wind Hall entered the final sprint. Especially District 1 and District 2, they had been competing over the years. They were like fire and water. The 4 Guardians and the 5 Hall leaders were also fighting both openly and secretly. Whichever disciple could become a Xinfeng disciple would have a higher status for the Guardians and Hall leaders. It must be Wang Hui this year. Yes, he is about to break through the Qi Cloud stage. If he doesn't win, no one can. I don't think so. Tai Yin from District 2 is 30 this year. Although he is at level 8 of the Qi Cloud stage, his combat power is comparable to level 9. In addition, he has already stopped at the 30th Great Threshold and has not continued to advance in the direction of the level. Instead, he is focusing more on the aspect of combat strength. Are you kidding? Wang Hui was 3rd last year. He will definitely win this year. There was a lot of discussion. For the official disciples of District 3, there were only level 7 to level 10 of the Qi Cloud stage. They had nothing to do with the Xinfeng battle. In the history of the Xinfeng battle, there had never been a disciple from District 3 who had made it to the top 8 or top 16. Most of them were eliminated in the first round. As for the preparatory disciples of District 4, except for a few muddle-headed people, any preparatory disciple with a little common sense would not challenge the Xinfeng battle. This was not only asking for humiliation, but also overestimating one's strength. He was not even level 7 of the Qi Cloud stage, and he wanted to challenge a level 4 of the Qi Cloud stage? He was courting death. Clang! Clang! The swords collided and the light shone brightly. At this time, Lin Feng was sparring with Li Han. Countless preparatory disciples from District 4 were watching. 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100 and gathered. Many girls from District 4 looked at Lin Feng with their fingers crossed, their hearts rippling. The youth stared at the two sparring. Watching the battle between the strong was beneficial. But the puzzling thing was, at this moment, Lin Feng was completely at a disadvantage. On the contrary, Li Han was swinging his swords one after another like a crazy demon. Endless swords gathered in a narrow space, bouncing off the mirror and shooting wildly. The power was astonishing. Crazy Sword. Chapter 441. Profound Meaning of Light, Mirror Shot. The saber energy and the light beams converged. As the number of mirrors increased, the number kept increasing. They came from all directions and angles, but they couldn't hurt Lin Feng at all. However, Lin Feng was only dodging and blocking. He didn't counterattack. Very dense. If I control it well, it can be even denser. Lin Feng understood. The smaller and denser the mirror, the deeper the understanding of the profound meaning of light, and the better the control of the power. It wasn't that easy. Whoosh, whoosh. Lin Feng kept dodging, and his mind became clearer. The power of mirror shot increased slowly. As the number of mirrors increased, 1 would become 2, 2 would become 4, and 4 would become 8. It couldn't be done in one go. It was both easy and difficult to break it. If one couldn't block it at the beginning, they would have to endure a series of mirror shot. It was very similar. It was very similar to the 8th move of the purple Thunder Saber art. Clang! Lin Feng attacked with the 9 Nether Thunder Saber, and thunder roared. As the saber struck, the lightning condensed into a ball of lightning. Sizzle! Sizzle! The ball of lightning split into 2, 2 into 4, and 4 into 8. They were concentrated around the body. It was a move that used defense as an attack. The counterattack was quite terrifying. The 8 balls of lightning could split or merge. Once they fell at the same time, boom! Lightning snakes tore the surrounding space, tearing the saber energy and the light beams apart. Instantly, there was a rumbling sound. There was an uproar in the surroundings. The youths of District 4 widened their eyes and looked at the rumbling lightning in shock. Pa! Pa! Lightning against light. Lin Feng used the power of the netherworld to open the runes. In an instant, the black and white light collided. Explosions sounded one after another, and the space shook violently. Bang! Rumble! How is it? Is it helpful? Li Han smiled. It's very helpful. Lin Feng nodded. His eyes flashed, and the battle with Brother Li appeared in his mind. His profound, meaning mirror shot had entered his mind. It was the same as his 8th move, Thunder slaying True Dragon. Their cooperation was flawless. From inside to outside, it can double the effect. Inside, the lightning beam itself is in a densely packed space. Mirroring it in, there will increase its power. Outside, the 8 lightning balls exploded. Endless lightning blasted out in an instant, combined with a mirror of light. Lin Feng frowned deeply. Although he did not have holy chi of light, he had comprehended more than one profound will. It was completely imaginable. Its power had increased by more than 10 times. Phew! Lin Feng opened his eyes and exhaled softly. It wasn't easy. Putting aside the comprehension of profound intent for now, the biggest problem at hand was he didn't have holy chi of light. That's good. Li Hansa smiled and said, Afeng, you are indeed a good seedling for practicing the saber. Just by looking at my mad saber, you can gain insights. My blade technique was modified from the life-demanding evil blade technique, combined with the profound meaning of the mirror of light. Actually, I was very confident before, until I was defeated by you, Afeng, in one move. Li Han couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. The ultimate move that he was so proud of was defeated head-on. It was indeed very hurtful. Actually, Brother Li, there's no problem with your fusion. The key is the saber technique and holy chi. Lin Feng hit the nail on the head. The saber will of the life-demanding evil blade technique is too shallow, and the saber technique itself is not powerful enough. Plus, your holy chi of light is not a high level, so even if you fuse it, the power is still lacking. He spoke bluntly. Lin Feng knew Brother Li's character. Li Han thought for a while and shook his head helplessly. After all, I am only a disciple of the second district. Lin Feng understood. The treatment of a disciple of the second district. It was far inferior to that of a disciple of the first district. The profound meaning of darkness is heavy and doesn't match with the 8th and 9th strikes of the purple thunder. Although the profound meaning of darkness is good, it is still not fully comprehended, Lin Feng thought to himself. There were 2 paths in front of him. 1. Continue to comprehend the profound meaning of darkness, dark devour. 2. Comprehend the profound meaning of light, mirror of light. One was a beginner profound meaning, and the other was an ordinary profound meaning. In terms of power, the dark devourer was naturally stronger. More importantly, the holy chi of darkness was already at the 6th level. But in terms of the perfect combination with the saber arts, mirror of light was far superior to the dark devourer. Both had their advantages and disadvantages. Lin Feng's eyes flickered slightly, but he quickly regained his calm. Mirror of light. Lin Feng made his decision. Although dark devourer's comprehension was just a little bit away, it wasn't easy to cross that little bit, because the comprehension of profound meanings was all about sudden comprehension, especially the comprehension of elementary profound meanings. It was more than 10 times harder than the comprehension of ordinary profound meanings. As for mirror of light, he had a ready-made teacher to teach him, so his comprehension speed would be greatly increased, just like how Xiongzhong had taught him the profound meaning of darkness, heavy. Moreover, comprehending profound meanings is only the foundation. The truly troublesome part is the combination of the saber arts and the profound meaning. In this aspect, mirror of light is far superior to the dark devourer. Not only is it a perfect combination, its power is even stronger than the dark devourer, and it complements the saber arts. Lin Feng was very clear. If the dark devourer fusion was 25%, then the mirror of light's fusion could reach 80%, or even more than 90%. This is it. Lin Feng knew the path he had to take next. A month's time quietly passed. Life was very peaceful, but Lin Feng's strength had increased by a lot. The absorption of the dark crystal and the thunder crystal formed the 2 parts of the nether holy aura, and the improvement was huge. The soul of the earth, which had also become a cyclone, was also absorbing the holy aura all the time. Unknowingly, it was already close to 1/3 of the way to the perfect 10th stage. It was quite fast, but the fastest was not the soul of the earth. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes flickered slightly. Without looking, he could clearly feel the dragon sea pearl necklace, which was refined for him, surpassing the existence of an earth-grade sacred treasure. It combined cultivation, support, and attack. It was an excellent treasure that could increase his strength by more than 1 level. When cultivating, he could clearly feel the existence of the true dragon saint power while wearing it. The dragon sea pearl necklace would automatically absorb the true dragon saint power in the air until it was saturated. In other words, the dragon sea pearl necklace was like a saint crystal, like a battery, and a rechargeable battery. If he was practicing the saber now, he did not need to care about it. The dragon sea pearl necklace would slowly fill up with the true dragon saint power, and he could directly absorb it after cultivating. Because of the fusion of their bloodlines, the absorption speed was much faster than the absorption of the saint crystal. One was like a straw, the other was like a water pipe. During a battle, if the true dragon saint power in the embryo star is exhausted, the dragon sea pearl necklace can instantly replenish it. Lin Feng smiled. The saint power was often much less than the holy aura, but it was more powerful. With the dragon sea pearl necklace, he did not have to worry about the exhaustion of the saint power. The most terrifying thing is the attack. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The dragon sea pearl necklace, which stored abundant true dragon saint power, could be used as a flying knife. Its power was terrifying, completely at the level of a nuclear bomb. Moreover, there were 9 of them. However, he would not use them unless he had no other choice. After all, the 9 dragon sea pearls were connected in a line. One use would be 1 less. Well, it's time to go to the Rising Sun shop. Lin Feng ended his cultivation and stood up. He could take the remaining 9. 9 million. Chapter 442. Money was very important, plus especially at the beginning stage of cultivation. 9 million Nemo coins. It looks like a lot, but it's hard to say. Lin Feng walked on the street, calculating. I have to get the Thunder-type St. Crystal. I need another 500,000 to 600,000 Nemo coins to reach the 4th level of true Thunder Holy Chi. The Thunder-type St. Crystal contained powerful Thunder energy. If it contained 3rd-class Thunder Holy Chi, it would be a 3rd-class St. Crystal. If it contained 1st-class Thunder Holy Chi, it would be a 1st-class St. Crystal. Absorbing the 1st-class St. Crystal is several times faster than cultivating the 2nd level of the Thunder Dragon Cannon. Lin Feng calculated that there were still more than 2 months before the wind welcoming ceremony. If he cultivated the 2nd level of the Thunder Dragon Cannon, he might not be able to reach the 4th level of Thunder Dragon Holy Chi. His cultivation speed was already very fast, but the Thunder Dragon Holy Chi was a 1st-class Holy Chi after all. Dark Holy Chi couldn't compare to it. The 4th level of Thunder Dragon Holy Chi was comparable to the 6th level of Dark Holy Chi. I hope I can expand it to the Chi Cloud when I reach the 4th level. Lin Feng wasn't very confident. Although the Thunder Dragon Holy Chi was a 1st-class Holy Chi, his Thunder talent was too weak. Compared to his Dark and Light talents, it was like the difference between a firefly and the moon. But expanding it to the Chi Cloud was very important. If the Thunder Dragon Holy Chi reached the 4th level and couldn't expand to the Chi Cloud, then it would be very long for him to reach the 5th level. If he cultivated with the Chi Vortex and the 2nd level of the Thunder Dragon Cannon, it would take 10 times longer to reach the 4th level. I'll see. Lin Feng wasn't worried. When it came to cultivation, everything would be fine. It was useless to worry because it wasn't something he could control. Deduct 600,000 Nemo coins. I'll use the remaining money to buy the Holy Chi cultivation method. Lin Feng knew that although the Holy Chi cultivation method was also important, he had the Dragon Pearl necklace. He didn't need to worry too much. Besides, it was too expensive. The worst one, the mid-class Holy Chi cultivation method, cost more than 10 million. He couldn't afford it. Rising Sun Shop. It was packed with people and bustling with noise and excitement. In terms of Saint Treasures, the treasure refining sect was the best. However, in terms of other miscellaneous goods, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce was the most lively and had the most complete range of goods. Here, there was nothing you couldn't think of and nothing you couldn't buy, as long as you had the money. Hello, dear customer. May I ask what you would like to buy? A shop girl asked with a smile. Lin Feng did not say much and directly took out a round ball. Whoosh. It was printed with the symbol of the rising sun, just like the rising sun. All of a sudden, the woman from the shop was startled. The short-haired woman from another stall hurried over and bowed deeply. My apologies for the lack of hospitality. Honorable VIP. Please follow me upstairs. The short-haired woman made an inviting gesture. Lin Feng nodded. She went upstairs. The surrounding crowd gasped as they looked over with envious gazes. It was not easy to become an honored guest of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. One of the black-robed men looked in the direction Lin Feng had left. He frowned and pondered. Suddenly, Lin Feng, the black-robed man, remembered. Yes, it's him. I saw him that day at the Drunken Mountain Inn. I can't be wrong. Wah! A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Instantly, there was an uproar. So he is the legendary Lin Feng. He is so young. Just like what the rumors say, he has an extraordinary temperament and is so handsome. It would be great if I could marry him. Stop being smitten. He is rich and knows Master Dong. Didn't you see that he is an honored guest of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce? Such a talented young man must have a great background. I wonder where he came from and how he is so rich. Sigh, I am so envious. Everyone was in a heated discussion. Lin Feng had already walked to the top floor. Hello. Dear customer, hello. Along the way, all the shop staff bowed and greeted him. Lin Feng nodded. At first, he would reply with a few words, but later he realized there was no need for that because there were too many people to reply to. On the top floor, a familiar figure appeared in his eyes. Branch President Liu Yu. Long time no see, Branch President Liu. Lin Feng walked over with a smile. Thank you, thank you. Lu Yu smiled and said, Brother Lin is on time. Exactly 1 month. Then, he gestured for Lin Feng to enter. Lin Feng followed Lu Yu into the room. Bang! The door closed. Is Branch President Lu done with the verification? Lin Feng sat down. Lu Yu smiled and nodded. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here now. According to the previous agreement, does Brother Lin have any objections? Lu Yu took out a piece of contract paper and handed it over. Lin Feng quickly scanned through it. The single purchase fee was 100 times the consignment price. After that, it would be split 50-50. For every Heartless manual sold, he would get 50% of the net profit. The settlement would be settled once a year. The content of the contract was very standard. How much is the consignment price? Lin Feng asked. Lu Yu said, this Heartless manual has a base value of 0.97 for Saint Power cultivation. It is ranked 3rd from the bottom among the known Saint Power cultivation methods. I have some data here. Brother Lin, you can refer to it before making the final price. Lin Feng took the document. The various types of Saint Power cultivation methods were clearly written on the top. Wolf Tooth Manual, base value of 0.88, price, 80,000 Nemo dollars. Drifting Cloud Record, base value of 0.93, price, 90,000 Nemo dollars. Eagle's Eye Manual, base value of 0.105, price, 105500 Nemo dollars. Lin Feng quickly understood. It was very simple. The higher the base value, the higher the price. The Heartless Manual is between the Drifting Cloud Record and the Eagle's Eye Manual. The price should be the same. Lin Feng looked at Lu Yu. The latter smiled. In my personal opinion, Brother Lin might as well price it at 95,000 Nemo dollars. 95,000? Lin Feng frowned slightly. In other words, the consignment fee was 9.5 million Nemo dollars, which was a lot less. However, Lu Yu's price estimate was reasonable. A lower price would undoubtedly make it easier to sell. Lin Feng was not in a hurry. He flipped to the back. There were not many Saint Energy Cultivation Heart Sutras. Soon, he reached the middle grade Saint Energy Heart Sutras. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Heart Sutra, base value of 1.057, price, 10.6 million Nemo dollars. Heart Sutra, base value of 1.788, price, 24 million Nemo dollars. Book of Mullion, base value of 5.459, price, 123 million Nemo dollars. Goldfish Spirit Scroll, base value of 6.802, price, 279 million Nemo dollars. Each one was higher than the last. The highest was close to 1 billion Nemo dollars, an astronomical figure. Lin Feng looked at the Heart Sutra at the top. Base value of 1.057. In other words, the absorption efficiency was 10 times that of the Heartless Manual. It was actually quite good for him at the moment. But it was too expensive. The St. Force's Heart Sutra was simply a robbery. Brother Lin, you seem to be interested in the Saint Power cultivation methods? Lu Yu smiled. It's no use even if I'm interested. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. Lin Feng was helpless. What could he do? He did not have enough money. Not necessarily, Lu Yu replied with a smile. Chapter 443. Lu Yu's words immediately caught Lin Feng's attention. Not necessarily? President Lu, what do you mean? Lin Feng asked curiously. Lu Yu explained, in addition to the normal consignment contract, there's also a full sale contract. If Brother Lin is interested, you could take a look. His right hand stretched out, and a contract that was different from the previous one was pushed in front of him. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. A full sale contract. Opening the contract, Lin Feng's eyes quickly swept through it. It was concise and clear. There was no longer a 50-50 split, nor a single consignment fee, but a one-time sale. The Heartless chart at the Chamber of Commerce's consignment price of 1,000 times was for sale. In other words, if I sign this full sale contract, the Heartless chart will not be mine, Lin Feng said. Not so, Lu Yu said. Brother Lin still has the copyright and reservation of the Heartless chart. We will not tamper with a single word of the Heartless chart. Furthermore, Brother Lin can teach the Heartless chart to others, but he cannot sell again. Lin Feng nodded. In the contract, the terms were very clear. Before, there was a 50-50 split of the profit every year, and the more he sold, the more he would get. But after signing the sale contract, no matter how much the Heartless chart sold, it had nothing to do with him. His eyes flashing slightly, Lin Feng quickly calculated in his mind, analyzing the pros and cons. How much is the Chamber of Commerce's consignment price for this Heartless chart? Lin Feng asked. 95,000 Nemo dollars. Lu Yu said. Lin Feng was silent. In other words, selling it all for 95 million Nemo dollars. The price was quite terrifying. He could also understand that, generally, martial artists who would sell heart manuals must be very short of money. Otherwise, it could be passed down as a family or sect inheritance. Once it was sold, as long as there was money, anyone could learn it. Generally, this was equivalent to giving up, and many would choose to sell it all. Brother Lin, you might as well consider it, Lu Yu said sincerely. After all, the turnover of the St. Power Heart manuals is not high, especially the low-grade St. Power Heart manuals. On average, only 10 manuals are sold a year. With a 50-50 split, Brother Lin can earn 475,000 Nemo dollars a year. You need to earn for 0 years to match the price of selling it all. Lin Feng did not speak. He knew the pros and cons. No matter what, he had managed the huge elemental business alliance on Earth, but Lu Yu's words could not be completely trusted. The Rising Sun Great Chamber of Commerce has its footprints all over the 33 continents. With their sales network, even if they sell 1 book per continent every year, there will be 33 books. Lin Feng said in his heart, but even if it sells 100 copies every year, I'll still need 0 years to make up for it. Furthermore, it was estimated that less than 100 copies would be sold every year. Lin Feng was very clear about this. After all, he was considered an expert. In fact, when Lu Yu proposed this plan, he had already made up his mind. Sell. Why not sell it? Visible benefits were the most important. Moreover, this huge sum of money was very useful to him. Who knew what would happen in 20 years? He probably wouldn't care about the 100 million Nemo coins by then. Not to mention that he had signed the true I contract with Lef Zitong. It would only last for 3 years, and whether he would still be on planet Nemo after 3 years was another matter. The reason why he didn't say anything was because, wait. Actually, if Brother Lin is interested, we can discuss the price, Lu Yu said. He probed. Mutually beneficial. For the Chamber of Commerce. Losing now and earning in the future. Oh, how much can President Liu pay? Lin Feng asked casually. Lu Yu frowned slightly and said, with my ability, I can at most raise the consignment price by 5,000 to 100,000 Nemo coins. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Although the consignment price was only 5,000, the total buyout price increased by 5 million Nemo coins. Make this deal. President Liu, you should have a lot of commission, right? Lin Feng said casually. Lu Yu's eyes flashed, and he smiled. Of course not. I'm just working for the Chamber of Commerce and doing my best for the Chamber of Commerce's interests. I see. Lin Feng pondered. Yes. Lu Yu forced a smile. But now, he felt that he was dealing with an old fox. Then I understand. Lin Feng immediately got up and smiled at Lu Yu. President Liu, please don't mind. As the saying goes, compare goods. The Rising Sun shop in Jingxing City is bigger, so maybe the purchase price will be higher. Shua. Hearing this, Lu Yu's cheeks turned pale. This, Brother Lin, aren't you making things difficult for me? Lu Yu said with a bitter face. The sale contract was set by the higher-ups. I can't change it. At most, I can help you with the consignment price, but it can't be higher than the Eagle Eye book, right? Eagle Eye book, base 0, 105, price, 105,500 Nemo coins. Lin Feng remembered. The base of the Heartless spectrum was only 0.097, so there was no reason for the consignment price to be higher than the Eagle Eye book. If he forced the price to be higher, not only would he break up the deal, but he would also offend Lu Yu. There was no need for that. However, Lin Feng smiled and looked at Lu Yu. 10,000 emo coins? Lu Yu looked at Lin Feng tentatively. Seeing that there was no reaction, he changed his words. 103,000 emo coins? It was still very quiet. Lu Yu said with a bitter face, Brother Lin, if the consignment price is too high, I will be punished by the higher-ups. Biting his lips, Lu Yu's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. He gritted his teeth. 103,500 Nemo coins. Brother Lin, this is my bottom line. Bottom lines are meant to be broken. Lin Feng's words made Lu Yu's face turn ashen. But suddenly, Lin Feng's tone changed as he smiled and said, But President Lu, you and I can be considered acquaintances. We will have many opportunities to cooperate in the future, so there's no need to be so aggressive and fight to the death. Don't you think so? Yes, yes. Lu Yu nodded. Hearing this, Lin Feng felt relieved. How about this? The consignment price will be 100,000 Nemo coins, and the buyout price will be 100 million. Round it up, but... Lin Feng's tone suddenly changed. President Lu, I am so considerate of you. Shouldn't you give me something in return? Lu Yu immediately understood. He snapped his fingers. No problem. In the future, all of Brother Lin's expenses in the Chamber of Commerce will be 90% off. I also want your internal discount. Lin Feng said indifferently. Lu Yu was startled. He shook his head with a bitter face and helplessly raised 2 fingers. Only 2 items can be discounted. 3. Lin Feng didn't hesitate. Lu Yu, looking at the depressed Lu Yu, Lin Feng smiled and raised his right hand. Happy working with you, President Lu. He knew that Lu Yu would agree. Happy working with you. Lu Yu's hand was a bit weak, but his smile was uglier than crying. Chapter 444. Lin Feng was not greedy. All the conditions were within Lu Yu's ability, and he would not offend anyone. The internal discount seemed like a 50% discount, but if Lu Yu did not buy anything, then it would be useless. Instead of haggling over the limited price range, it was better to jump out and look at the bigger picture. He could earn more than 10 times more. I want this one. Lin Feng quickly made his choice. There were a total of 12 middle-grade holy power cultivation manuals. The price was not fixed, but it was still differentiated by base. Compared to the low-grade cultivation manuals, the middle-grade holy power cultivation manuals had a larger base. The base of the low-grade holy power cultivation manuals was below 1.0, and the middle-grade one was 1.0. The price range was between 10 million and 1 billion. 5 refinements mental illustration? Lu Yu asked. Lin Feng nodded. 5 refinements mental illustration, base of 0.88, price 36 million. It was only ranked 9th among the 12 middle-grade holy power cultivation manuals, but the base of 0.88 was 20 times more than the Heartless Spectrum. He wanted to buy the more expensive one, but it would only get more expensive later. When the base of 0.88 was reached, the price would be over 100 million. Even with a 50% discount, he could not afford it. After all, other than the holy power cultivation manuals, he still needed to buy the other 2 cultivation manuals for Holy Qi. Holy Qi cultivation manuals for light and dark. Lu Yu asked curiously. Yes. Lin Feng nodded. It was time for his dark Holy Qi to change. With the Dark Moon Viper's talent, the Heart of Darkness cultivation speed was fast in the early stage, but the cultivation system of humans and demons was different. The Heart of Darkness was like a newborn star, but it could only exert the power of the Qiyun stage, and it was difficult to improve further. As for light, at the moment, he had comprehended 3 types of profound meaning. Ordinary profound meaning, weight of darkness. Rapid light of light, elementary profound meaning, penetration of light, and mirror of light, which he was about to comprehend and integrate into his blade technique. 3 profound meanings of light. Wouldn't it be a pity if he did not cultivate light? According to Senior Bai Yun, he needed to merge his Holy Qi in the first week. With the addition of light Holy Qi, he would have 2 more choices. He could fuse thunder and darkness to form the Nether Holy Qi. It could also fuse lightning and light, as well as darkness and light. There was only one path, but now there were 3. Even if the fusion failed, at least there would still be one type of Holy Qi as the child, and his strength would not drop too much. But one of the most important reasons Ishi's light aptitude was quite outstanding. It was comparable to a dark aptitude. Since he was good at it, why didn't he cultivate it? Brother Lin, do you want to cultivate both holy chi of light and holy chi of darkness? Lu Yu asked curiously. Can I? Lin Feng looked at Lu Yu. From his expression, he seemed to know something. It's not impossible. Lu Yu smiled. It's just like yin and yang, water and fire, light and darkness. After all, they are two opposite types of holy chi. With the soul of the earth as a buffer, there is no problem. But if you want to merge them, I'm afraid it's impossible. Oh, Lin Feng nodded. But that's a matter of sub-weeks later. Lu Yu smiled self-mockingly. Let's not talk about breaking through sub-weeks. Getting to Zizhou is no easy task. Lu Yu is only at embryonic first stage. Thank you for your reminder, President Liu. Lin Feng smiled with relief. It's okay. Let's pick the holy chi cultivation method first. Okay, wait a moment. Auspicious light grand ceremony, 10 million Nemo dollars. Purple court light method, first volume, 13 million Nemo dollars. First volume of Alcade, 15 million Nemo dollars. Lin Feng looked at the dazzling list. It was too much for his eyes. There were many first-grade holy chi of light. There are differences between first-grade holy chi of light? Lin Feng asked curiously. Of course. Lu Yu explained, like humans, different humans have different personalities and abilities. The same is true for light. Different lights have different energy and composition. Some holy chi of light is very bright. If you cultivate mysteries like radiant light, you will be much more powerful. Some holy chi of light is very permeable. If you cultivate mysteries like daybreak, you will be able to use mysteries like daybreak. It can unleash even more power. Mysteries, radiant light. Mysteries, daybreak. He learned about 2 more mysteries of light from Lu Yu. Lin Feng remembered in his heart that these were things that he desperately lacked. His understanding of mysteries was too shallow. He glanced at the first-grade holy chi of light. Many of them had the words first volume or first volume. Lin Feng couldn't help but ask, are the holy chi cultivation methods sold separately? Lu Yu nodded. Yes, these are all mortal-level holy chi cultivation methods. They are mainly for condensing holy chi. Some only have ordinary holy chi cultivation methods. Most of them have several levels. Among them, the best and most perfect cultivation method should have 5 levels. The first level is to obtain holy chi. The second level is to obtain holy chi. The third level is to enter chi cloud. The fourth level is to enter fetus week. But the fourth level is enough for most people. Lin Feng understood. Not everyone was able to reach the 5th level of cultivation. But he needed it, just like the Thunder Dragon scripture. It didn't matter if he couldn't afford it for the time being. He could buy it later. But right now, he had to lay down the foundation. As if reading Lin Feng's mind, Lu Yu pointed with his finger. There are 7 first-grade holy chi of light with 5 levels of cultivation methods. The asterisks are the ones. 7. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He looked around, but it was hard to choose. With Brother Lin's current financial resources, these 2 are the most suitable. Lu Yu recommended. The first set, first volume of Yaoguang, 15 million Nemo dollars. The second volume of Yaoguang, 45 million Nemo dollars. Combined, Brother Lin can cultivate to fetus week. The second set, Tri Yao Genie, first volume, can also be cultivated to fetus week. 5,000 Nemo dollars. Lin Feng nodded. Li was quite honest. His recommendation was a compromise, just what he wanted. After a 50% discount, it was about 3,000 Nemo dollars. It was within his acceptable range. After all, he wanted to buy more than just a cultivation method. What are the characteristics of these 2 types of holy chi of light? Lin Feng asked. Lu Yu said, Yaoguang focuses more on the purity, stability, and quality of light. It is more balanced in all aspects. Most of the light mysteries can be used to great effect. Tri Yao Genie is a combination of 3 types of light. It can be used to control and confuse mysteries. Lin Feng nodded. After a moment of thought, he made a decision. Yaoguang Holy Chi. The path of the mean wasn't necessarily bad. Especially in terms of price, Yawon was better. Okay, Lu Yu smiled, but the first and second volumes can only be considered as one set. Lin Feng bargained again. No matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. After all, he only had 3 items at a 50% discount. Lu Yu smiled bitterly. Don't worry. In the end, you're the ones who are earning. Lin Feng smiled. With what he bought, he believed that the Chamber of Commerce would turn a blind eye if he gave a little gift. After all, he was buying cultivation methods. After going around in circles, the money would eventually return to the Chamber of Commerce. Chapter 445. 5 Refinements Heart Diagram, 36 million. Jade Light First and Second Volume, 60 million. Ominous Dark Art First to Third Volume, 56 million. 3 sets of heart mantras. Total 150 million Nemo coins. Just put your fingerprint on it, Lu Yu said. To him, doing Lin Feng's business would earn him quite a bit. But with the 50% discount, even though he didn't have anything to buy, he still lost a bit of profit. Lin Feng put his fingerprint on it. Contract done. After deducting the 76 million Nemo coins and the 100,000 Nemo coins deposit, there were still 9 million Nemo coins left. That's fast, Lin Feng said helplessly. But he didn't care too much. To him, money was just a worldly possession. Turning it into strength was the most important thing. As long as he was strong enough, he could earn it back. Only with investment could there be gains. Here's 500,000 Nemo coins, President Liu. Lin Feng didn't take it all. He left 500,000 Nemo coins. With his strength, he could earn around 100,000 Nemo coins a month. 500,000 Nemo coins was quite a lot. Lu Yu was stunned. Lin Feng smiled. Just a small token, President Liu. I can't take your 50% discount for nothing. That's too much. Lu Yu declined, somewhat embarrassed. Long wind and writing, he said. Lin Feng pushed it back and stood up. President Liu, there's no need to be so courteous. Who knows, I might need to trouble you in the future. Moreover, Lin Feng smiled faintly. He owed President Liu a favor. That day, the soul-locking nail was removed by him. He had to repay the favor. 500,000 Nemo coins wasn't a big number for him right now. All right then, I'll shamelessly accept it. Lu Yu laughed. Brother Lin, you're really not an ordinary person. If you need my help in the future, just ask. That's what you said, President Liu. Lin Feng smiled. Lu Yu was startled. Why do I feel like I'm being schemed against? Their eyes met, and the two of them laughed heartily. There was no harm in knowing one more person. This was especially true for someone as powerful as Lu Yu. Although he was only a branch president, he was backed by the entire Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, a colossus in the 33 continents. To Lin Feng, 500,000 Nemo dollars was a favor, a promise. It was too worth it. No matter what, he had cheated Lu Yu of 3.5 discounts. The remaining 3. For million Nemo coins. You have to use it sparingly. This time, there won't be any left. Lin Feng walked down the stairs and returned to the shop. As he walked through the crowd, he attracted heated discussions wherever he went. He was used to strange gazes. It didn't matter what others thought. I want to buy some Thunder Attribute and Light Attribute Saint Crystals. Lin Feng walked forward. The dark element was now at the 6th level. Then, he would use Saint Crystals to absorb and cultivate. However, the Thunder Attribute and Light Attribute were different, especially the Light Attribute. If one simply absorbed Saint Crystals to cultivate, the first 3 layers would be the fastest. After that, it depended on the grade of the Saint Chi. For example, the Thunder Dragon Saint Chi of the 1st grade had some obstacles from the 3rd to the 4th level. 600,000 Thunder Attribute Saint Crystals. 600,000 Light Attribute Saint Crystals. It's about time. Lin Feng knew when to stop. Although there were still many things he hadn't bought, such as the armor on his body, Earth Rank's Sacred Treasure, Book of Arcane Intent, and Saber Techniques. However, there were too many things he wanted. There was only 30,000 Nemo coins left. It wasn't enough. Suddenly, Uncle Ian, haven't you caught that bastard who deserves to be hacked to death? A tender voice rang out clearly. No. The deep voice sounded a little old. That little bastard is quite good at hiding. Even Brother Lon Yu was killed by him. Humph! If I see him again, I'll chop him to death with my axe. Let's see where he can run to." The deep voice sounded very familiar. Although Lin Feng had his back to the three, he still heard it clearly. "It's them." Lin Feng was shocked. They were still fresh in his memory. One was the short, brawny man with a giant axe, Lon Peng Peng, level 8 Cyclone. The other was the girl from the Blue Moon clan who questioned him, level 5 Cyclone. The last was the silver-haired man with the highest status, a member of the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Blue Silver Sword, a Chi Cloud expert. It was a small world. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. When they met again, there was no more fear or scruples. They wouldn't overestimate themselves like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Lin Feng was unperturbed. With his current strength, he could even contend with the strongest of the three, the Blue Silver Sword, let alone the other two. However, it wasn't the time to cause trouble. The reward of 100,000 Nemur coins was still high, and the Xiaoxiang sword sect was still looking for him. There was no need to alert them. The only thing he was worried about was that Blue Silver Sword and Lon Peng Peng recognized his aura. Even if he wore a mask, he would still be recognized. It should be fine, Lin Feng thought. There were so many people in the shop. Blue Silver Sword and Lon Peng Peng wouldn't check others' auras. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. Lin Feng heard the footsteps clearly. He secretly prepared for battle. It was better to be safe than sorry. Fortunately, the footsteps left behind him and did not stop at all. It was as if the footsteps were just passing by, calm and undisturbed. Phew! Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief. He didn't have time to catch his breath. "Uncle Lean, I want to buy some Saint Crystals," the girl from the Blue Moon clan said. "Hey, there's some over there." Lon Peng Peng's voice was loud. Blue Silver Sword responded softly. Lin Feng knew something was wrong. The Saint Crystals he bought were still being calculated. If he left now, it would be suspicious. Suppressing his nervousness, Lin Feng stood there calmly. Soon, the three from the Blue Moon clan approached. Lin Feng didn't release his aura. The three from a Blue Moon clan didn't either. Lin Feng pretended to turn his head. He glanced at the three people and turned back coldly. He didn't say anything. The three from a Blue Moon clan didn't suspect anything. The girl from the Blue Moon clan was already shouting. She also wanted to buy some Saint Crystals for cultivation. However, they weren't first grade but third grade. Not everyone could afford first grade Saint Crystals. Dita. For Lin Feng, every second was torture. Soon, hello, honored guest. Here are 600,000 Thunder Attribute Saint Crystals and 600,000 Light Attribute Saint Crystals. I'll have to trouble honored guest to check. The shop girl respectfully handed over a storage ring. After a 10% discount, the total is 1.08 million Nemo coins. See, gasps could be heard around them. They were shocked. 1.08 million Nemo coins. Many people couldn't even earn a fraction of that in their lifetime. But now he was so extravagant. Just Saint Crystals alone cost so much. The three from a Blue Moon clan looked at Lin Feng in shock. The girl from the Blue Moon clan looked at Lin Feng with her mouth wide open. Taking the ring, Lin Feng's face was cold. He didn't waste any time and turned to leave. Things would change if he delayed. Who knew what would happen next? Would he be recognized? But he only took 2 steps. Wait a minute. Behind him, a deep and powerful voice sounded. Chapter 446. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with a bright light. With his current strength, he was not afraid of Blue Silver Sword, but if his identity was exposed here, he would be in big trouble. Xiaoxiang Sword Sect, Blue Silver Sword. May I ask if you? Blue Silver Sword's voice rang out behind Lin Feng's back. There was no hostility in it. Lin Feng snorted softly and did not stop walking. He simply ignored it and left. His expression and behavior were arrogant and had a great style. In an instant, Blue Silver Sword and the other two were left on the spot, feeling very awkward. What kind of person is he? He has no manners at all. The girl from the Blue Moon clan curled her lips. Shoo, lower your voice. Lon Peng Peng said in a low voice, looking at the direction Lin Feng left. This is not the Blue Moon clan. Changyang Mountain City has many hidden dragons and crouching tigers. We can't afford to offend some people. Blue Silver Sword nodded without any displeasure. This young man walks like a dragon or a tiger. He has the style of a big family and is very generous. He must be a descendant of a famous family. His family background must be extraordinary. Glancing around, Blue Silver Sword said softly, "Also, look at the people around you. You will know that this person must be famous here. What a pity. If only we could get to know him." Blue Silver Sword sighed. Yes. Lon Pong Pong also sighed. He gave 1.08 million Nemo dollars in one go. 1% of his total wealth is more than my entire wealth. Comparisons are odious. If we could get some money from him, not only us but also the Blue Moon Clan would benefit. Is it that exaggerated? The girl from the Blue Moon Clan lowered her head and muttered softly. However, under everyone's gaze, the girl from the Blue Moon Clan did not have any confidence in her voice. They left smoothly. Blue Silver Sword and the other two did not know that the murderer they were looking for had missed right under their noses. It was also their luck. Otherwise, the three of them would have been killed on the spot. The Lin Feng now was like a different person compared to that day in the Jinglan mountain range. To put it bluntly, Blue Silver Sword, who was in the second level of Qiyun, could not last more than 3 moves against Lin Feng. However, luck would not always be so good. What needs to be done still needs to be done. Lin Feng's eyes flashed coldly. Everything that had happened in the Jinglan mountain range that day appeared clearly before his eyes. He and Li Jixing had almost lost their lives in that mountain range. Lightly pursing his lips, Lin Feng's eyes flashed with loneliness and sorrow. He thought of the otherworldly white-clothed woman who had saved him from the hands of these murderers. But, in the end, they couldn't escape their fate and died at the hands of the Nirvana God sect. Even he himself almost lost his life. As soon as he entered the Nemo planet, he encountered 3 major calamities. Being able to survive can be considered a stroke of luck. Lin Feng's smile was somewhat weathered. Nightfall. Changyang Mountain City was silent. In the dead of night, a black shadow moved like a ghost in the quiet mountain city. Whoosh! A black shadow followed the night sky. Entering an ordinary mansion, a signboard was clearly hung on the ceiling. Blue Moon Mansion. His eyes slightly opened, and a cold, killing intent flashed through the black shadow's eyes. Lin Feng. It was time to eliminate the source of the problem. He would never be merciful. Escaping once by luck didn't mean he could escape a second or third time. Accidents could happen at any time. His identity could be recognized at any time. Only the dead couldn't recognize him. That day in the Jinglan mountain range, there were 3 people stronger than him. Lan Yu was already dead. Only 2 people were left. Swoosh! Lin Feng sneaked into the mansion. In the room. Xin Yan, you stay in the mansion tomorrow. Don't run around, understand? Blue Yinjian said in a deep voice. What about you, Uncle Yin? The girl from the Blue Moon Clan asked. Blue Yinjian looked at Lan Pampa. Your Uncle Peng and I will act separately. He will go to the Flying Tiger Saber sect, and I will go to the Sinister Wind Hall. Since that thief is a saber practitioner, we think he will likely enter a saber sect. He will live in seclusion and only appear again when things die down. Lan Peng Peng nodded. Yinjian and I can distinguish the aura of that murderer. If we meet, we will definitely recognize him. The girl from the Blue Moon Clan understood and frowned, but the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect and the Wang Mansion are both looking for him. Is it possible that he will still stay in Changyang Mountain City? I don't know, but if there is a chance, we have to try. Blue Yinjian said seriously. We must do it for Jiro and Han Liang. And for Lan Yu. We can't just rely on others. We have to rely on ourselves. This murderer is so cunning. Even if he stands in front of a Xiaoxiang Sword Sect, they might not recognize him. The most dangerous place is the safest place. Lan Pingping's killing intent flashed. If I find him, I will definitely chop that bastard into pieces. Blue Yinjian said, is only at the 5th level of the Qi Cyclone Realm. He might not even be able to survive against the Demon Beast King. I estimate that there is more than a 50% chance that he is in the city. The Red-Yellow Valley, Changyang Mountain City, and Jingxing City are among the 3. Really? The girl from the Blue Moon Clan's eyes sparkled. Really? Suddenly, a calm voice was heard. Blue Yinjian and Lan Pengpeng's expressions changed instantly. Bang! The door was directly blasted open by a huge force. The terrifying saber energy touched their skin and caused pain. The three from a Blue Moon clan widened their eyes and looked forward. A black shadow appeared at the door, only 10 meters away from them. Wasn't it ding? Ding! Blue Yinjian and Lan Pingping's weapons were already out of their sheaths. Their expressions were cold. Lin Feng held the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber in his hand. Lightning and shadows intertwined around his body. In this dark night, he was like a demon from hell, unpredictable and unpredictable. We meet again, Lin Feng said slowly. How dare you? Lan Pingpeng's arm muscles bulged and his veins popped out. Blue Yinjian stared at Lin Feng's eyes. His expression changed slightly. The sword in his hand was light. He said in a deep voice, "It's you. It's me." Lin Feng replied indifferently. He knew that Blue Yinjian had recognized him. He was the one who wore the human skin mask in the Rising Sun shop. You murderer, I will kill you. The girl from the Blue Moon clan was like a female leopard. Her eyebrows were raised. She directly drew her sword and stabbed it at lightning speed. Blue Yinjian's expression changed instantly. He shouted, Xin Yan don't. Instantly, Lan Pengpeng and Blue Yinjian attacked at the same time. Fight! There was nothing else to say. The enmity between them couldn't be explained in a few words. The girl from the Blue Moon clan sword was profound. Countless sword silks wrapped around the sword like threads. Her moves were strange. Dozens of sword silks went straight for Lin Feng's chest. However, she couldn't even defeat Lin Feng back then, let alone the current Lin Feng. Lin Feng was extremely fast. The girl from the Blue Moon clan's sword stabbed into his afterimage. The 9 Serenity Thunder Saber slammed into the girl and knocked her unconscious. In front of them, the shadow of the giant axe broke through the air. The golden light was invincible. Lan Pengpeng roared in anger. However, Lin Feng only held the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber in his hand lightly and directly attacked with a force of 1,000 caddies. Bang! It was a contest of strength against strength. He didn't use his titanium gray body. It was pure physical strength and pure strength. It was an absolute suppression. Chapter 447. Boom! The 9 Serenity Thunder Blade exploded with terrifying power. The giant axe flew out. Lan Pingping's chest felt as if it had been struck by lightning. He spat out a mouthful of blood and landed heavily on the ground. Almost instantly, a ferocious thunder dragon roared and descended from the sky. Its bloody mouth emitted a dazzling light as it swallowed Lan Pengpeng. Stop! Lan Yinjian's eyes widened, but he couldn't stop it. Lin Feng's attack was completed in an instant. Lan Yinjian's eyes were bloodshot with anger. The blue moon on Lin Feng's forehead flickered, and a beam of blue power condensed at the tip of the sword. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and the blue light was like a stream of water, causing his sword technique to naturally integrate with the profound meaning of water. He was indeed worthy of being a swordsman of the Xiaoxiang sword sect. He was definitely not ordinary. His sword technique was very compatible with the Xiaoxiang sword concept, and the profound meaning of water was integrated seamlessly. It was even better than Li Han's crazy blade. Die! Lan Yinjian shouted angrily. He used his strongest move right from the start. He didn't hold back at all. In addition, Lin Feng had just killed Lan Pengpeng, so Lan Yinjian seized the perfect time. If it was an opponent of the same level, it would be difficult to block his continuous and sharp sword technique, the destruction of water. But the current Lin Feng was no longer the same as he was in the Jinglan mountain range. Heavy. The heart of darkness in his body circulated. The moment Lin Feng killed Lan Pengpeng, the profound meaning of darkness in his left hand was released. Although the profound meaning was ordinary, it was the 6th level of dark holy qi, and the heart of darkness was even more powerful than the qi cloud stage. Although it was limited by the soul of the earth and couldn't display its full power, but it was powerful enough. Boom! Lan Yinjian felt his vision turn black, and his body felt extremely heavy. The shocking dark holy qi rushed toward him. He felt like he was in a swamp, and his body became extremely heavy. Even his sword in his hand slowed down. Break! Lan Yingjian's face turned cold. Endless holy chi of water flowed like a whirlpool. The essence of the sword technique instantly exploded. Although it was blocked for a moment, he still had the upper hand. However, in just an instant, a terrifying force had already exploded in front of him. Clang! The nether image was ferocious and violent. Spring thunderstorm. The spring thunder roared, and the sky was filled with electric currents. The purple thunder power merged with the holy chi of the netherworld and blasted out. Concise, bright, clean, and neat. The 4 seals of the 9 nether thunder saber were removed, and its power increased layer by layer, as if it was climbing a ladder. Blades. No. Blue-silver sword's eyes widened in fear. He couldn't believe that in just a few months, the young man who had been like an ant in the Jinglan mountain range back then had become so terrifying. His bladesmanship was strong, and his holy chi was terrifying. He completely crushed him in every aspect. With this slash, as blood splattered in all directions, the battle came to an end. Someone come quickly. Uncle Master Yingjian is dead. Quick, don't let the murderer escape. Blue Moon Manor was in a mess. Blue Moon clansmen, Blue Moon Manor servants. They were in a panic. Lan Pumping's death was not important, but Blue Yingjian's was. This was a huge piece of bad news for the Blue Moon clan. It was like a sudden clap of thunder. There were only 8 Chi Cloud experts in the entire Blue Moon clan. Stop here. Lin Feng did not start a massacre. The girl from the Blue Moon clan was not the only one who had seen his appearance. If he really wanted to kill all of them, he would have to slaughter the entire Blue Moon clan. To him, only Blue Yingjian, Lan Yu, and Lan Pumpeng were a real threat. Now they were all dead, and they were the disciples of the Xiaoxiang sword sect who fought with Lan Yu that day. Lin Feng immediately left after hearing the chaotic sounds of the Blue Moon Manor. It wouldn't be long before the city guards arrived. Killing was absolutely forbidden in Changyang Mountain City, but rules and regulations were only for ordinary people. Tap tap! Lin Feng jumped up and returned to Wind Peak through a small path. Suddenly, he felt a chill in his heart. It was as if a poisonous snake was staring at him in the darkness. That feeling was very uncomfortable. Someone was here. In an instant. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 3 streaks of black light pierced through the air. They were extremely fast and tore apart the silence. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. The speed of the 3 streaks of black light was far beyond his expectations. Overlapping shadows formed in the air. They were up and down like fairies jumping around. It was hard to tell the direction. Same power control. Lin Feng's 9 nether thunder blade shone brightly. The mysterious person hiding in the darkness was extremely powerful. He did not know of his existence until he attacked. After practicing the 10 scrolls of flying daggers, Lin Feng knew that this kind of object control was a kind of use of saint power. Talent spirit. The opponent's talent spirit cultivation was above his. Sky spinning thunder. Lin Feng attacked and broke the 4 inscriptions directly. He did not hold back at all. Facing this unknown expert, it was stupid to hold back. The nether holy chi formed a huge vortex and covered the front of his defense. Chi, chi, chi. The 3 streaks of black light entered the vortex. Lin Feng finally saw the true appearance of the black light. It was a kind of cross-shaped dart, lighter and faster. However, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard almost instantly. This time, it was not 3 streaks of black light, but a huge ball mixed with mysterious saint power. No, it's a roulette. Lin Feng's eyes were sharp. It looked like a ball, but in fact, it was a rapidly spinning roulette. It was not stationary. Instead, it was spinning at the fastest speed, faster than he could see. Holy treasure. Lin Feng reacted instantly. Soul severing 4-color square blue. The true I saint power surged. An illusory I slowly opened behind him. It was extremely strange. Time slowed down. Whoosh. It went straight for the mysterious person in the darkness. This move had once killed Lan Yu, but now, Kiki, the cold laughter made one's hair stand on end. Lin Feng heard the mysterious person's voice. It was a little familiar, but also very strange. He did not seem to have heard it in his memory. He could not figure out the mysterious person's intentions. The attack of the soul, severing 4-color square, turned into a blue butterfly, beautiful beyond compare. However, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. There was no news. The mysterious person's laughter seemed to be mocking Lin Feng for showing off in front of Guan Yu. The round ball was coming, like a flower blooming. The close-range spinning sound stirred up the air. Lin Feng's eyes were cold. In an instant, layers of silver light appeared outside his body, and the inscriptions condensed. The titanium elements condensed, forming an illusory crystal armor. It was formed in an instant. Titanium grade body, 5th level. Come! Lin Feng's blood boiled. The stronger the opponent, the stronger Lin Feng was. The 7th purple thunder strike instantly exploded. The nether image behind him was terrifying, and the violent power went straight for the round roulette. Boom! Chapter 448. It was a head-on attack. The strong saint power went straight to his heart. Lin Feng's right hand that was holding the 9 Serenity Thunder blade trembled, and the web between his thumb and forefinger cracked. The power of the circular wheel was definitely not ordinary. The rotating force was driven by the saint power, and every moment it produced a tearing force. The 9 Serenity Thunder blade almost fell out of his hand. Puff! Lin Feng groaned and retreated, but the hand holding the 9 Serenity Thunder blade tightened. His fighting spirit was raging. He couldn't care less about whether or not it would alarm the city guards. If he didn't kill this mysterious man in black, he couldn't leave at all. He couldn't judge the strength of the opponent, but he was at least above the 4th level of Chi Cloud. The collision just now was enough to show the power. However, it was quiet. The mysterious man didn't launch a continuous attack. He just stood there quietly. Lin Feng stopped and looked from afar, frowning slightly. What did he mean? A cat catching a mouse? If I were you, I would slaughter the entire Blue Moon Prefecture and burn it all. A gloomy voice came, making Lin Feng's heart tremble. Everything that he had done before was clearly seen by this mysterious black-clothed man. It was very familiar. His figure seemed familiar. Hua! Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he said in surprise, "Was it you outside the city gate that day?" The mysterious man in black smiled coldly and didn't answer. He just said coldly, "How long do you plan to stay in Broken Mountain City?" Lin Feng was stunned. He didn't understand what he meant. Broken Mountain City, a rotten sect. How many challenges do you think you will face here? How much training do you think you will have? Although the mysterious man in black's face couldn't be seen clearly, he could feel his arrogance. Such a mediocre person, muddling along, enjoying a peaceful life. I look down on you. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He was inexplicably lectured. Listening to the mysterious man in black's voice and words, he shouldn't be old, and his words seemed to have other meanings. Take it. The mysterious man in black's hand flashed a cold light. Lin Feng's heart moved. He stretched out his right hand and took it. It was a piece of pure red crystal jade with incomparably exquisite carvings. The black-clothed man's cold voice entered his ears. Understood. Bring this piece of crystal jade to Wan Qin pawn shop in Dongling City. Don't make me look down on you again. As soon as he finished speaking, the mysterious man in black disappeared again like a ghost. Lin Feng was confused. He still didn't understand why the black-clothed man had come. He looked at the red crystal jade in his hand. The exquisite carvings seemed to be some kind of token. East Spirit City, Wan Qin pawn shop. Lin Feng murmured as he pondered. What did he mean by that? Search. Arrest them. Over there. Noises could be heard everywhere. Lin Feng could vaguely hear Brother Li's loud voice. At this time, Yangshan City was already bustling with noise. The city guards had begun to search for the culprit. Lin Feng looked in the direction that the mysterious man in black had left and sighed in relief. Let's go back first. Lin Feng put the crystal jade into his storage ring and left. Lin Feng remembered the mysterious man in black's words, but he wouldn't be too affected by it. He knew his own affairs best. It wasn't that he didn't want to train, but he had already been through too much when he first entered Planet Nemo. He had survived countless dangers and experienced 3 major disasters. Even the safest time was thanks to Xiao Yun. She was the reason why he was able to escape death and hide from the Nemo elite, Ao Janwei. Training in danger. It was indeed the fastest way to improve one's strength. But after all, humans were humans, not machines. Humans would get tired and tired. Like the bowstring of a fully drawn bow, it was always taut. It would break. The key was the degree. Ominous dark magic. First grade, dark magic holy chi. Lin Feng's heart was calm. It was a grade higher than the dark magic holy chi of the Dark Moon Serpent. Lin Feng was no stranger to the cultivation of holy chi after practicing the Thunder Dragon Cannon. The first chapter of the ominous dark magic was only the foundation. He quickly mastered it according to the method. His Hua, a brand new dark magic holy chi appeared. The 6th grade dark magic holy chi was converted into pure dark magic holy chi through the soul of the earth. It surged like a tide. Lin Feng controlled it carefully and tried to maximize the conversion of energy. But there was still a lot of loss. The dark magic holy chi was too heavy, so the loss was not small. True, a holy power. It was a different kind of holy power from the true dragon holy power. As if it could see through everything, one of the eyes in his body shone brightly and controlled the conversion of energy. Lin Feng gathered it bit by bit into dark magic holy chi. The 2nd level, the cyclone formed. The conversion of energy had only just begun. The 3rd level, the 4th level, the cyclone spread and turned into a cloud of chi. At this time, the conversion of dark magic holy chi had been consumed by half. Bit by bit, the cloud of chi was enriched, and its color gradually brightened. Although it couldn't reach the 5th level, Lin Feng was already very satisfied. Crack! The heart of darkness shattered. He officially announced that the dark magic holy chi had advanced from 2nd grade to 1st grade. The grade was very important. 1st grade holy chi was naturally stronger than 2nd grade holy chi of the same level. Because of its purity, it was easier to condense into cyclones and expand into clouds of chi. Damn! Li Han gulped down his wine gloomily. Lin Feng smiled helplessly. He also poured himself a glass of wine and toasted with Li Han. Offing, don't you think I'm unlucky? I just took office and I'm already encountering this. Li Han shook his head and said bitterly, other people are the chief commanders, and I'm also the chief commander. Why am I so unlucky? Which son of AB *TCH dares to mess with me? Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He couldn't tell Brotherly that the bastard he was talking about was him. Could he? Are you okay, Brotherly? Lin Feng asked. How can I be okay? Li Han muttered. I haven't slept for 7 days and 7 nights in order to catch this bastard. In the end, I didn't even catch a strand of hair. Li Han suddenly looked at Lin Feng and scratched his head. I'm sorry, Offing. Look at how angry I am. I've made you listen to my complaints. It's okay. Lin Feng smiled and changed the topic. By the way, Brotherly, have you heard of Dongling City? Li Han rolled his eyes. He was already a little drunk. He muttered, I think I've heard of it, but I haven't. Lin Feng poured a glass of wine for Li Han. He extended his right hand, and a red crystal jade appeared. Do you recognize this crystal jade? Li Han narrowed his eyes and looked left and right. He looked at it in confusion. What is this? Lin Feng smiled. He didn't mind. It was normal that he didn't recognize it. Brotherly, have you seen the token of the East Pole Palace? Lin Feng asked suddenly. Li Han widened his eyes. Is it this crystal jade? I don't know. Lin Feng shook his head. The mysterious black-clothed man that day gave him the feeling that he was from the East Pole Palace. He was on a mission for money. His words were concise and direct, and his killing intent was very strong. Among the other forces, the only one that had a direct conflict of interest with him was the East Pole Palace. However, he wasn't sure. Offing, since you're familiar with Master Dong, you can ask him. Li Han smiled. In terms of knowledge and experience, Master Dong is the best in Chongyang Mountain City. Lin Feng nodded. Although he said that, he didn't intend to ask Dong Tai Fu. That person was too scheming. In terms of knowledge and experience, There were many people who were better than him. Moreover, they had better character and ability. President Lu Yu. Chapter 449. Rising Sun Shop. Ha, Brother Lin, what brings you here today? Lu Yu welcomed him with a smile. I passed by the shop and bought some wine for President Lu. Lin Feng stretched out his right hand, and a large jar of drunken impermanence appeared. The fragrance of the wine was so strong that Lu Yu's eyes widened. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Drunken Mountain House's drunken impermanence. How is it?" "Not bad, not bad." Lu Yu nodded. Seeing the other shop staff looking over, Lu Yu's expression suddenly turned serious. He coughed lightly and said, "Let's talk about business." He suddenly turned around and gestured for Lin Feng to enter. The other shop staff held back their laughter, not surprised by this. Lin Feng entered with a smile. Good wine, good wine." Lu Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. "President Lu, you have a good tolerance for alcohol." Lin Feng filled Lu Yu's cup with wine. "Drunken Mountain House's signature wine. I won't get tired of it." Lu Yu clicked his tongue and said, "Ever since I was sent to Chanyang Mountain City, the greatest blessing is that I have good wine. Although Chanyang Mountain City is a third-tier city, drunken impermanence is rare even in second-tier cities." Lin Feng smiled. It was the same on Earth. The good wine and tea in the big cities might not be comparable to the clear spring rice wine in the mountains. However, the taste of the wine varied from person to person. "President Lu, you seem to be very familiar with the Eastcom continent?" Lin Feng asked casually. "Of course." Lu Yu drank some wine and let loose. "When I joined the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, I was still in the cyclone stage. I've been to many cities in the Eastcom continent. I've been to first-tier cities and fourth-tier cities. My master often said that one can only rise above others after suffering the hardest." Lin Feng nodded. It was obvious that President Lu had suffered a lot when he was young. "Are there many first-tier cities in the Eastcom continent?" Lin Feng raised his cup and clinked it with Lu Yu's. Lu Yu said, "Most of them are third-tier and fourth-tier cities. There are only 10 first-tier cities in the entire Dongning continent, such as Donghua City, Dongwang City, and Dongling City. The area it occupies is thousands of times larger than Chanyang Mountain City. It has outstanding people and outstanding people. Various great clans and powers are entrenched there." Dongling City. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he sipped his wine. "A first-tier city. Crouching tigers and hidden dragons." Lu Yu sighed and said, "There are many hidden Nemo experts there, and even more forces of the Nemo realm. Sometimes, even the Slaying Sword Palace has to avoid them. Once, a Zizhou expert killed a Chi Cyclone stage martial artist, and as a result, his entire family was slaughtered. Even the entire sect was uprooted. There is always a taller mountain. The human factions of the 33 continents are nothing compared to the true Nemo realm." With that, Lu Yu poured another cup of wine and downed it. Lin Feng saw this but didn't say anything. In everyone's heart, there were some secrets that no one knew, and the pain that was buried deep in the bottom of their hearts. Obviously, President Lu's pain came from the mysterious Nemo realm. Even the Slaying Sword Palace had to avoid it. How powerful was that? Slaying Sword Palace. It was the #1 sect in the Eastcom continent. It was one of the top 10 sects in the 33 continents and was much stronger than the Xiaoxiang Sword sect. "Sorry for making a fool of myself, Brother Lin." Lu Yu laughed and filled Lin Feng's cup of wine. "Speaking of which, Brother Lin, you're still so young. If you have the chance, you can go out and explore. Oh, in 3 months, there will be a big auction in Dongling City at the beginning of the year. Brother Lin, if you're interested, you can go and take a look." Dongling City? Big auction? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Lu Yu nodded. "It's organized by the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. The minimum requirement to join is 10 million Nemo coins. There will be some rare treasures in the 33 continents, most of which come from the Nemo realm. It's only held once a year. Even if you don't buy it, you can go and experience the atmosphere." Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. The minimum requirement was 10 million Nemo coins. What else could he do but experience the atmosphere? He couldn't afford it, even if he wanted to. He looked at Lu Yu, who was half drunk and half smiling. Lin Feng immediately understood. President Liu, that's a good plan. You flatter me. Liu didn't care that his plan had been seen through. It's a win-win situation. Brother Lin, if there's anything you want to sell, it's better to benefit your family than to benefit others, right? With that said, he filled Lin Feng's cup of wine. Here, let me toast to you. Lin Feng also drank it with a smile. President Liu was indeed an old fox. Big auction. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't tempted, especially since it happened at the beginning of the year in 3 months. The time on the Nemo realm was about the same as the lunar calendar on Earth. It happened after the wind-welcoming ceremony of the Wicked Wind Hall. Even if the mysterious man in black wasn't there, he planned to leave at that time. Dongling City, one of the top 10 cities in the Eastcom continent, might be a good place to stay. Brother Lin, is there really nothing you want to sell? Liu Yu raised his eyebrows and asked softly, I promise to give you the best discount. Lin Feng smiled. There's a set of martial arts manuals. Lin Feng didn't hide anything. He took out the 10 flying knife scrolls and placed it on the table. To him, the 10 flying knife scrolls wasn't very useful. Besides, it wasn't something precious. If he could sell it, he would sell it. After all, he didn't lose anything. It was always good to have more money. Whoosh! Liu Yu's eyes lit up. He immediately took the 10 flying knife scrolls and flipped through it. At first, his eyebrows were slightly furrowed. Then, they slowly relaxed. After that, Liu Yu's eyebrows relaxed, and his eyes became brighter. Lin Feng saw all the changes in his expression and smiled. He knew the secret of the 10 flying knife scrolls. Strictly speaking, it wasn't a set of martial arts manuals. It was a path. The path of the foundation, the path to a higher level. Although there were only 10 levels of Shao Li's flying knife scrolls, its power was only so even if it was practiced to the limit. However, if he could fully understand its secret, he could continue on this path and create the 11th, 12th, 13th level. There was no end to it. Off. Liu Yu exhaled and closed the 10 flying knife scrolls with a serious face. Looking up at Lin Feng, Liu Yu's chest rose and fell slightly. He said seriously, this set of holy power object control technique is very valuable. I can't accurately estimate its value with my authority. I need to submit it to the higher-ups. Brother Lin, please wait for another month. Is that okay? No hurry, Lin Feng said. Liu Yu's face turned bitter. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry, but he was. Based on his experience alone, the value of this set of holy power object control technique had exceeded the previous set of martial arts manuals. If he could successfully sell it, he would make a fortune. By the way, President Liu, I have something to ask. Lin Feng finally spoke. Brother Lin, please ask. Liu Yu's expression was very respectful. Lin Feng stretched out his right hand, and a piece of red crystal jade appeared. His eyes widened slightly. President Liu, do you know what this is? Chapter 450. This is red shue jade, a high-grade red shue jade. Liu Yu examined it carefully and revealed an infatuated expression. A high-grade red shue jade costs at least 1,000,000 Nemo coins and is very rare. Only red shue demonic beasts can nurture it, and it can only give birth to the red shue jade before it transforms. A piece of jade cost 1,000,000 Nemo coins. Lin Feng was also secretly shocked. This mysterious black-clothed man was so generous. He had only just met him, but he had already given him such a crystal jade. Moreover, this crystal jade was not just based on its value. Liu Yu said slowly, if I'm not wrong, this should be a token. Lin Feng nodded. But these carvings... Liu Yu frowned slightly and looked at it again, but he had no clue. Forgive my poor eyesight, but I've never seen such carvings. I'm sorry, Brother Lin, but I can't help you. However, if Brother Lin doesn't mind, you can leave this item here temporarily and let me ask my superiors. Thank you, President Liu. Lin Feng declined politely. Before knowing the identity of this mysterious black-clothed man, there were still some things that needed to be avoided. This included Wanxian pawn shop. All right then. Liu Yu smiled and didn't force it. But then again, to be able to possess such a token, it's definitely not an ordinary force. Lin Feng nodded. Just the red Shui jade alone were worth millions of Nemo coins. Based on President Lu's judgment, could it be a token from the East Pole Palace? Lin Feng asked. East Pole Palace? Lu Yu frowned slightly and shook his head decisively. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce has always had dealings with the East Pole Palace. The token from the East Pole Palace is not like this. I'm sure of this. Lu Yu frowned slightly, and his eyes flashed. Based on my estimation, this is very likely a token from the 8 Trigrams Palace. 8 Trigrams Palace. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Their intelligence network covered the 8 Trigrams Palace, the treasure refining sect, and the 10,000 Medicine Valley. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce and other super forces were hidden in the city and were very mysterious. The mysterious black-clothed man's ghostly appearance appeared in his mind. Now that he thought about it, he did seem like someone from the 8 Trigrams Palace. His whereabouts were erratic, and his ability to gather information was outstanding. If the East Extreme Palace wants to deal with me, they'll have to go through the Bagua Palace's intelligence network. Lin Feng thought to himself. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it made sense. Furthermore, Bagua Palace has nothing to do with me. If the East Extreme Palace was bribed, they might not be so friendly. The scattered clues gathered together. It was taking shape. Lin Feng nodded to himself. Such a superpower was invisible and untouchable, but its tentacles covered the entire Nemo planet. Whether it was its connections, or even its financial strength, it was quite astonishing. How could it be inferior to the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce and the treasure refining sect? Lin Feng returned to his residence. He didn't ask in detail because there was no need to. Moreover, President Lu was just guessing. However, if he could join the 8 Trigrams Palace, it was not bad. Superpowers like the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce and the Valley of 10,000 Medicine only recruited external members, such as President Lu. He had climbed to his current position step by step, mostly because of the management of the shop. It was extremely difficult to enter the core of a superpower. For the time being, I will continue to cultivate here and participate in the wind welcoming ceremony in 2 months. I will fight for the opportunity to exchange pointers with the strong. Lin Feng's heart was filled with challenges. He might have been looking forward to the rewards of the Xinfeng battle, but now it had dropped a lot. After all, no matter how high the rewards were, could they be higher than 10 million Nemo dollars? On the contrary, the challenge with the elite disciples of the Wicked Wind Hall made his blood boil, and he was looking forward to it. One battle after another, he would go all out, and every opponent was stronger than him. Where else could he find such an opportunity? Actual combat was the best opportunity for a breakthrough. After the Xinfeng battle, up ahead in Dongling City, participate in the auction of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. Just in time. As long as his life was alive, the challenges would not be extinguished. Lin Feng was never afraid of challenges. He was born in sorrow and died in peace. His childhood experiences had imprinted strength in his bones. To protect himself and his family, he had to be stronger and more ruthless than others. He had many things to do. 2 years later, the Earth will once again suffer a mass extinction, and the initiator of this was the Nemo planet. This region, which was inextricably linked to Earth, was still a mystery and unreachable. He wanted to stop the disaster from happening, so he had to go to the Nemo planet. Even if it was just an ant trying to shake a tree, Lin Feng wanted to try. And there was also the little witch doctor waiting for him to save her in the absolute zero ice cave. Little Yun, there's still no news. Lin Feng was still unable to sense Little Yun. This doctor, who was taught by Senior Bai Yun, was a rare 5-tailed snow fox. She lived in his body and now seemed to be in a deep sleep for several months. With Little Yun's medical skills, there must be a way to save the little witch doctor. But present, he was still unable to contact her. The only thing he knew was that Little Yun should be in a deep sleep and not dead. Perhaps her vitality was greatly damaged. Or is it a rejection from my body? Lin Feng did not know. There was no need to know now. There was only one thing he had to do. Cultivate. Keep cultivating. Xiaoxiang Sword Sect. Find him for me. It must be him. How dare he provoke the Xiaoxiang sword sect? He's courting death. In the sword hall, Qing Tong's sword Lu Qing was furious. His sword robe flashed with a faint green light. As a fetus weak expert and one of the Xiaoxiang 13 swords, it had been a long time since he had been so furious. However, one of his disciples had been killed in the sword sect, and another disciple had been killed in Changyang Mountain City. It was as if he had been slapped twice. To him, it was definitely a provocation. If he did not find the culprit and settle this matter, how could he, Qing Tong's sword, live? He would definitely be laughed at and become a disgrace for life. But Master, the East Pole Palace has already replied. The death of Queen Yinyin was not done by this person. A disciple holding a black sword cupped his hands and reported honestly. Qing Tong's sword Lu Qing was burning with anger. Wang Yinyin was not killed by him, but my disciple, Lan Yu, was undoubtedly killed by him. And Yin Jian, his death was most likely done by that bastard. We have already been trampled on. If we don't kill him, how can we convince others in the future? Then, Master, should we inform the East Pole Palace? The black sword disciple hesitated. But the East Pole Palace only kills evildoers. They might not accept the mission. Lu Qing clicked his tongue and said sternly, "Do we need others to interfere with the internal affairs of the Xiaoxiang sword sect?" With a cold snort, Lu Qing's eyes were filled with murderous intent. This bastard must still be hiding in Changyang Mountain City. Immediately inform our brothers and contact all the major forces in Changyang Mountain City. Search for him. Search the entire city and dig 3 feet into the ground. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. We must not let this bastard escape. Lu Qing's hair and beard stood on end. His eyes were filled with anger. He was really angry. To be continued. Chapter 451. Mad Saber. Li Han's eyes lit up. The mirror of light overlapped with each other, unleashing its full power. However, in that saber realm, a figure dodged like a ghost. The endless saber beams penetrated the afterimage, but could not hurt him at all. Wang Shun's eyes were wide open, and he was stunned. The Mad Saber could be countered in such a way? Brother Lin's speed is terrifying. Wang Shun murmured, "His progress is too fast." How long has it been? Wang Shun stared at the intense battle without blinking. Wang Shun only had gratitude and respect for Lin Feng. He did not have the slightest hostility and was learning from the two humbly. "Look, isn't that senior brother Wang Shun?" "Yes. I heard that senior brother Wang Shun was accepted as an inner disciple by the Eastern Heritage Protector not long ago and entered the 1st District. So what? Isn't he here to learn from senior brother Lin Feng?" "You don't know, but the sect master personally summoned senior brother Lin Feng a few days ago. The 4 great protectors allowed senior brother Lin Feng to choose as an inner disciple and enter the 1st District." "Really?" "Of course, but senior brother Lin Feng refused." "No way." Many preparatory disciples gathered outside Lin Feng's residence. To them, being able to watch such a battle at close range was of great help in improving their strength. This place had become the most lively area in the 4th District, and it was also the absolute center of the 4th District. Now, Lin Feng's name was well known in the 4th District. Who didn't know him? Huff, huff, Li Han panted, his face pale. The Mad Saber was not interrupted, but ended with Li Han's exhaustion. Lin Feng stood in place, his eyes flickering slightly as he carefully comprehended the battle. He comprehended the mirror of light's profoundness. In a face-to-face battle, the contact of the profoundness of light was the most direct and obvious. Mirror, the key is the control of the power and the structure of the mirror. With each additional layer of mirror, the changes will be more complicated and the requirements for control will be higher. Savor every battle. Lin Feng cherished this opportunity very much. Being imparted the profound intent face-to-face, coupled with sparring after sparring, allowed his comprehension of the mirror of light to improve by leaps and bounds. His eyes flashed. The 9 Serenity's thunder blade in Lin Feng's hand hummed, and a layer of white light lit up. Yaguang Holy Qi. Brother Wang, come. Lin Feng was filled with fighting spirit. All right. Wang Shen's blood was also boiling. He leaped into the arena and replaced Li Han. Clang! Saber light soared into the sky. A short while later, break! The power of Lin Feng's saber directly pierced through. Wang Shen's face paled. He had no time to defend himself. With a muffled groan, he was struck by the force from the back of the saber. His protective chi shattered. Punk! At this moment, a strong force came from behind him. Li Han stretched out his hand to block Wang Shen's retreating momentum and barely managed to stand still. Elementary, profound meaning. Piercing light. Li Han's eyes blazed. Oh! Wang Shen was shocked. Brother Lin, didn't you just cultivate nacreous Saint Chi not long ago? How did you comprehend the elementary, profound meaning so quickly? More than that, Li Han rolled his eyes. Didn't you see how he dodged just now? His speed was so fast that he fully displayed the essence of light. That was the ordinary, profound meaning, swift light. His gaze fell on Lin Feng, who was in a deep state of comprehension. Li Han's eyes shone with envy. I believe that in 10 days or half a month, he can even learn my signature move, Mirror of Light. Wang Shen was full of praise. Brother Lin's talent is indeed extraordinary. No wonder the sect leader values him so much. He can choose from the 4 great guardians. Li Han snorted. What value? The sect leader doesn't know Offing's true strength at all. He only gave Master Dong face because of the good relationship between Offing and Master Dong. If he really knew Offing's potential, he wouldn't have pushed him to the 4 great guardians. He would have taken him long ago. Wang Shen smiled. Even if he was willing, Brother Lin would probably refuse. Li Han laughed. The sky is high. Offing doesn't belong to the evil Wind Hall. Have you ever seen a level 7 Chi Cyclone stage defeat a level 4 Chi Cloud stage? Wang Shen said softly. To be honest, I still don't know what level Brother Lin's strength is at. And I can't force him to show even half of his strength. Instead, the gap between us is getting bigger. Moreover, Brother Lin's current saber technique. Clang! The space shook. Li Han and Wang Shen looked over. In an instant, they saw many afterimages. Lin Feng was brandishing his saber. It seemed real, but also illusory. Vaguely, the profound meaning of Mirror of Light was contained in it, as if he was imitating the saber intent of the crazy saber. But in an instant, Lin Feng's saber had disappeared. Chi! 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 Instead, beams of light appeared, condensing into illusory mirrors in the void. The light and the mirrors touched, refracting and changing constantly. There were more and more beams of light, more and more concentrated. However, there was no repetition. Endless beams of light intersected, as if performing a magic show. Li Han's mouth was wide open, enough to stuff an entire egg. It's done? Wang Shen was also dumbfounded. Li Han had just said that Lin Feng would be able to comprehend the Mirror of Saber in half a month. But now it had only been 3 days. Lin Feng had comprehended it thoroughly. Monster, this guy is really a monster. Wang Shen's eyes were dull. Comprehension. After a series of battles, Lin Feng finally understood the crux of the matter. In an instant, he was enlightened. It was as if he had found a light spot in the darkness. Following the light spot, he found the key to the Mirror of Light. Mirror of Light. This is the Mirror of Light. Lin Feng understood clearly. He had not only opened a window, but also a door. The Mirror of Light was a very complicated path that could be infinitely strengthened. He kept improving his ability to control light, making the range of the mirror as stable as a sphere. However, the mirror surface could be increased, the range could be reduced, and the power could be increased continuously. Chi, chi, chi. The number of mirrors continued to increase. Lin Feng's pressure was also increasing. The more he controlled, the harder it was to control the mirror surface and the light beam. And this was only a one-sided profound meaning. It was not easy to integrate it into the saber technique. But for Lin Feng, this was undoubtedly a good start. He had found the right path, the state of epiphany. It was rare that Lin Feng did not deliberately break it. He could put other cultivation aside and maximize efficiency. The 9 Serenity Thunder Saber in his hand turned into spots of light. With the familiarity of the profound, meaning mirror of light, Lin Feng began to integrate. The saber technique had a deep understanding of saber intent. Although he had not completely comprehended the mirror of light, the state of epiphany was very rare. Lin Feng was very familiar with the control of the saber. His hand was like a saber, and the saber was like his hand. It was not as difficult as using the mirror of light with both hands. He quickly got the hang of it. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Lin Feng gradually integrated. Chi. With the reflection of light, the saber force increased layer by layer. With the help of the rare state of epiphany, Lin Feng comprehended and cultivated at an extremely fast speed. Wang Shun and Li Han, who were watching from the side, were already dumbfounded. Especially Li Han, who felt a chill down his spine and had goosebumps. "It can't be," Li Han murmured. It took him 10 years to create the crazy saber, from the integration to the creation of the crazy saber. But Lin Feng in front of him did not even take 10 hours. To be continued.